I said good day. Good day, I said.
Good morning. Good morning. Where I go lately, I've been seeing Santa Claus.
No, we just missed it. And we're going to wait 3
We're
minutes.
live on my end. I'm just going to grab my links.
Good morning.
Good morning, beautiful people.
So you're not going away now?
Don't get me started.
Why?
No, we're not, is the short answer. So I'm scrambling last minute for Christmas trees and
Where were you going?
Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to say the reason at the moment?
Marlon's work.
Oh, he can't get off. Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
Oh, isn't that a cute sneeze?
Yeah, so they have a freeze policy that he was not aware of. So
oh no, what? How can you do that to somebody's Christmas plan?
I know he already had it signed off on, and then
well, that's not cool
like,
either.
Oh no, apparently your boss didn't know about this. And he's like, what? So we had tickets paid for, hotel paid for.
Come on, it was signed off on?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Humbug.
What's the freeze all about? Because, I mean, people go away at Christmas time. Who puts a freeze on?
Yeah, I think for the managers in the IT department, it's just one of those things where, because they're super busy during the holiday season, they don't need any.
Since somebody signed off on it, are they going to reimburse you guys?
No, because we can get everything refunded.
Okay.
Of course, if we have to change anything with those tickets, we have to pay a change fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not cool. But,
it's not Marlon's fault if he got it signed off on.
Yeah, I know.
I would complain to my upper management.
Yeah, he's just disappointed because he hasn't been home in over 4 years.
Well, maybe you can go after Christmas.
Next year, I guess.
No, I mean like in January.
No, he's got work-related stuff. Work trip
to Jamaica.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Work trip to Jamaica.
Feliz Navidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Jose Feliciano on Kiss FM and Kissmas Music. All of your holiday favorites all the way through New Year's Eve. Brought to you by CG Britke. Hey, it's the Blake and Aaron Show, 7:29 right now.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Oh, good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Hey, Blake and Aaron.
Yeah.
Who is virtual this morning.
She is virtual. You are correct.
Yes.
What do you have for us on this Tuesday morning?
You know that she can join in with my link, right?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
we should
really tell her to do that tomorrow.
Okay.
So yes, what have we got this morning? So the government has indicated that they are going to curtail the situation with the Cuban refugees through amended legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bill that's coming that is called the Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill 2022. And essentially, it's going to do a couple things, amend a couple sections. And, the process is for political asylum. It's not for anything else. It's not for economic asylum or anything else. And so they're kind of really looking carefully at a couple things. There's a determination of what is well-founded fear, for example, fear of persecution, And they're also putting a time limit on how long the refugee status is for. So in the past, it was something that you received and then that was it. Now, it's going to, be something that they will be able to review. So it expires essentially every 3 years, and they'll be able to review it because what they found is that some people are getting the refugee status, and despite claiming that they were political, refugees, they were then turning around and traveling back to Cuba. So clearly they had no real fear. So all of that now is going to be curtailed.
Okay.
Yep. The Cayman Islands financially seems to be in a good position according to Moody's Investors Service. They gave the Cayman Islands a rating of A3 stable, which is the same as the UK and just 3 levels below their highest rating. So this means that Cayman actually has the highest rating in the region and is among the top 30% worldwide.
That's great.
Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We might still be all headed for a recession, and hopefully that helps us. But the tourism scholarship application is now open. So anyone who's interested, the Ministry of Tourism is inviting applicants for its annual scholarship, which is designed to assist students who wish to pursue either a bachelor's or master's degree in an improved tourism or tourism-related discipline. So you have to demonstrate financial need. And this has been going on for over 26 years. And it's been awarded to hundreds of students as either full or partial scholarships to further their education locally or internationally. So please check that out. You can go to scholarships.ourcayman.ky for further details.
Hey, check Erin. She's backstage right now.
Hey,
Yeah.
Erin, how are you?
Whoa, am I in?
You're in.
Yes, look at that. Modern
Hey.
technology. I don't know why I never thought of that before, actually.
Yeah.
Look at this.
It
Thanks,
just
Sandy.
dawned on me this morning.
I love it.
Easy enough to
Okay.
do.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I don't see either of you, by the way.
That's okay. We're just
my
over
camera's
here
off.
being gorgeous.
I got the COVID. I'm going to keep the camera off.
I know. Yeah, you might infect us.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know that you guys have been off for a minute. So you missed sort of some major headlines while you were off. One of them is an update relating to Miss Cayman. So she had her part heard, the remainder of her trial heard on December the 5th and the 6th. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And now she'll find out her fate in early January, January the 9th, as Magistrate McFarland considers everything that she's heard. But one of the most interesting things during her defense, because she actually took the stand and we got to hear her side of the story, she claims that she has a brain tumor.
What?
And as someone with mental health issues, I'm guessing that the point they were trying to make is the mental health issues are caused by the brain tumor. Like I was a little bit, I didn't quite follow. There wasn't a full flow of, okay, this is what the brain tumor story means. But she was saying that she should not have been treated as an ordinary, regular citizen. They needed to treat her different because she has mental health issues. And so she made a comment about, if she were an alcoholic, she would have gotten special treatment by the police. And so the prosecution was like, really? And you know that for a fact? And she's like, yes, I know that for a fact.
But the question about the brain tumor thing is, it's been
serious.
Diagnosed, and
Well, we don't know.
doctor-
We have no clue.
Because that's scary if she actually has a brain tumor.
Well, we have no clue if she does or not. I mean, I
Well,
doubt
exactly.
she does, but
Well, that would be something that a doctor could only confirm, because if you can't just say I have a brain tumor, because I say that every time I get sick.
I want to. This is the point I want to make, because I think a lot of our listeners are confused about this. In a court of law, she can say anything she wants for her defense.
Yeah, but
it
also
doesn't have to be.
But,
yeah,
but
I mean,
also
she
in a
doesn't have to
court-
prove it.
Well, yes, she
Then the
does.
prosecution. Well,
No.
the prosecution will make her.
The burden of proof is on the prosecution, not on her.
Well, a prosecution.
Let's
would tear
take
that apart.
Renato Harris for an example. We're going to be
Well,
talking about him a
Okay,
bit
but
later
the
on.
prosecution will say, "Hey, what's your evidence of that?" And let's, is there a
Nope.
doctor we can call to the stand? Or prosecution could
Yeah.
actually call a doctor and dispute her claim.
Oh, no. Well, the prosecution has to prove their case. So the prosecution did not even ask her anything about the brain tumor because I think they just think it's such a ridiculous statement.
Yeah.
And the fact that she doesn't put anything forward to support it, they're just assuming the judge is going to have better sense than that. But remember, the burden isn't on the defense. Here's another perfect example of that. Renato Harris has been granted bail, and what the judge says is exceptional circumstances, because he claims that he has a daughter, and I forgot how old he claimed the daughter was, which he lied about as well, because I looked it up and I sent his lawyer, look here, on social media, he's claiming the child is 12 years old, but in court, some other age was given. The lawyer was like, wow, this dude just lies through his teeth. But, he claims that he's a primary caregiver of this child. Nobody knows anything about that. But, it weighs on the judge to give him bail. And it's 99% not likely to be a true statement. So now he was out playing dominoes on Friday night. He was, getting his hair done the other night at the barber. People have been sending me all these pictures who spotted him everywhere. So it's just one of those things that the defense can say stuff and there's no obligation on them to prove it because the burden of proof is not even on them. And it really boggles, I think, the average person's mind until you've sat in court enough to kind of see how it works. You don't really get it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I think if you have a lawyer telling a judge something, then the judge is likely going to think that what the lawyer is saying is accurate.
No, because they're just saying it on behalf of their client.
Well, we're all, yeah.
They don't even have to. I think half these lawyers don't even believe what their clients are saying. They know it's ridiculous because some of the stories, and a lot of times the judges will say that.
Well,
in this case, the judge said, pretty much everything you've said is a lie to Renato.
Could also be prosecuted for perjury. If they really wanted to. You can't lie in a court. It's when you take an oath.
Yeah, I think it's just accepted that that's part of the defense strategies, that people will say things. And
yeah, but perjury is perjury.
Yeah, if you take an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, and then you lie, that's perjury in a court of law. Well,
defendants do it every day, and they're never pursued for perjury charges.
Well,
so I don't know.
He's got bigger problems anyway.
We'll have to ask a criminal lawyer, how they kind of come up with this. But all the time I see judges saying to them, you've lied. It's obvious that this story isn't true. And no one ever pursues perjury charges. They're just like, okay, well, I guess you're going to jail anyway. So, it's pretty wild. But I've never seen the prosecution say, prove it. Sometimes they might do follow-up questions to kind of test the veracity of it, and here's a perfect example. So Renato claims, we're going to be talking about him this morning. So he claims that his dad was home on the night of the incident, which was something he did not say during his police interview.
Well, what does that matter?
Because he was trying to say that this woman was a willing participant who walked into his house willingly and blah, blah, blah. So then the prosecution said, so is your dad going to be giving evidence? And he said no. And they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
That's not saying, have your dad swear a statement, prove that he was there. But if he's not going to even testify and give evidence to what you're saying, then the likelihood of it being true is probably slim to none. Yeah, it's pretty. I tell you, going to court is an absolute learning experience. It really, really is.
All right, Sandy, you're going to expand a little bit on your show this morning on Bobo 89.1 FM, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday headline.
All right, Aaron, I'll send you the, I don't know if you clicked on the link that I sent you or the one that Blake sent.
I sent her the link.
I got the one Blake sent.
I sent, there's the one that Blake sent you will be the usual you can use to jump in tomorrow.
Hopefully not too much longer. I want to break free.
Aw. Is this your second time with COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Hang in there. So much
fun. I am. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Guys, have a good one.
Bye.
All right, the segment with CMR.
All right, folks. Tuesday morning. Welcome one and welcome all.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, beaver grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
All right, folks, good morning. How are you? I hope everyone is doing well. My apologies. I've always got this proverbial frog in my throat who's trying to interrupt the flow of what we're doing here. I called a guy the other day, and I can't remember if I called him or if he called me. But anyway, I answered the phone. And I was like, hello. He's like, oh my gosh, you sound so chirpy and that radio voice is in full effect. I was like, really? So good to see you guys. Well, you know, it's Tuesday, and Tuesday means Rundown Tuesdays, medical rundown, with none other than Health City. So we've got Shamari Scott, who's in the studio with us today. Good morning, Shamari. Whoa,
Good
I
morning.
love the Christmas bling.
That's it. You see it?
Oh yeah. Looking good. What? The lights. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I was just thinking to myself.
Every Christmas. Always have some bling.
I was just thinking that I got to pull out my Santa hat because, man, we have got an entire box and we're still adding stuff to it of amazing prizes for Christmas. Folks, I tell you no lie. I went and did my last little shopping spree yesterday. Got lots of chocolates, but like the good ones. Oh my gosh. We've got a sound bar. Health City's going to give us a bunch of gift certificates. We've got Foster's gift cards. I mean, this Christmas is going to be amazing. You just got to tune in, answer 1 or 2 questions to win. And I think we've got close to like probably 70 prizes by now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're
So
really getting them
lots of people can win.
So you're giving them away when? Starting?
We're going to start tomorrow because we just have to
tomorrow.
wrap a few last ones and then put the list together. So we've been handwriting the list. We're going to type it up. But yeah, it's, oh my gosh. When I show you a picture of the prizes, you're going to be like, what?
No, that's awesome.
Proper Santa Claus in the house.
So it's all this week. Well, starting Wednesday and all of
right
next
up
week.
until Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to do this week and next week. I might have to take a day off next week because I might have to make a quick trip in and out of Cayman. But, oh, sorry, my people are like, where's the link? Yes, so, you know, it's going to be good. I invite all of you to make sure that you tune in and you try to win. Lots of good prizes. There's like a Kenneth Cole leather messenger bag.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And listen, these certificates from Health City, that's saving you some good money and you're able to prioritize your health going into the new year. So I love those as well. Mm-hmm. So it's been a busy year, Shamari, for you guys. We are coming up now towards the end of the year. So today we're going to do a little bit of a year in review with Health City because, gosh, you guys, I was looking at your list. I'm like, man, you guys have been busy.
Yeah, and that's just a portion of what we do, right? So it's just because today's our last show for the year, right, Sandy? So we said,
well, I mean, you can come next week if you want. You know, I'm here.
We're like, what better way to
I know, join in the festivities.
Then
but yes, I mean,
and also some giveaways as well. And you know, obviously we can give away 1 or 2 today, and then throughout you can give away the rest that
some
we
others
would have
in the Santa box.
Yeah.
Nice. So good morning to everyone. We got a good crowd already tuned in this morning. Omiria, Debbie, Wee Wee, Cindy, Diamond Princess, Irvlyn, Miss Vernita's here, Felicia, Jennifer, Talk What You Know is in the house, Miss Iva, so good to see you, Olivia, KK, talking about lawyers, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, KK, Alice is here, Zambula Way, we'll talk about that as well, Zambula, I'll give you the updates, Corrine, KK says, I'm ready to win. Well, stay tuned because we're going to give away something during today's show. from Health City as well. So they're donating gift certificates. So yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. She says a Kenneth Cole bag. Ooh, yeah, honey child.
So that's what you're doing when you went shopping, Sandy.
Yes.
You're getting gifts.
I was,
For CMR. That's awesome.
Getting ready to hook my people up.
That's right. Awesome.
So Miss Darlene, Leslie's also got it locked. So listen, Shamari, let's talk about some of the wonderful things that Health City has done in 2022. Definitely. And I'm looking forward to 2023 because based on what you've accomplished this year, I can see that there's some major goals that you will be completing in 2023. So let's talk about what some of these are. So let's roll it back all the way to January and the groundbreaking of your new hospital and radiation oncology center.
That's right. And that actually was everybody would see it going up now, right there by Cayman Bay, by Cayman International School. And the great thing is, the portion of the building that you see going up now is the 60 to 70,000 square feet hospital. But on the other side, which if you were to drive around, you'd actually see the 8,000 square foot radiotherapy center, which is actually, we did the groundbreaking in January of this year, and we'll be able to have our opening for the radiotherapy portion in end of January or February of next year. So 2023, we start right off where for all of your cancer needs, persons who usually typically would have to travel overseas and stay anywhere from weeks to months, if they need to go through radiotherapy, now that's going to be available right here in the Cayman Islands, right here in town. So persons no longer will need to go away for the majority of their oncology or cancer care needs. So that's really exciting. It's the first radiotherapy center in the Cayman Islands and one of the few in the Caribbean. And it's going to be, multidisciplined. So it's definitely one of the shining stars that the rest of the Caribbean has also, we've been in contact with them, with all of our partners and the such, and they're really excited based on the price points in the US and the fact that they know that we have the highest of quality here, right, in the Cayman Islands. That's going to be a fraction of what they would send to the US, just because we're, as much as we complain, and yes, there's still issues from an insurance perspective that we would need to go through. A lot of other countries may only have 20% of their population that's actually insured, or even within their insurance policies, sometimes they have lifetime benefits of 400,000 US, which if and when you're going to the US, you quickly find out 400,000, they may not even accept you based on that lifetime max. And with what we're offering here in Health City, that would be more than enough for them to come and have the best treatment right here in the Cayman Islands. And of course, that helps insurance companies here, as well as all of our patients, residents, and Caymanians that are here in Cayman as well. So that's exciting.
Wow. And every time I cross the construction site, the other day I was noticing how much it has progressed. And, it's something that quickly creeps up on you. You're like, whoa, this looks like it's almost done. And then I didn't realize that. How many buildings in total is it?
So it's going to be two separate buildings,
two separate buildings,
So one is the radiotherapy center, and that's why we're going to be able to open that in January. The rest of the building, that's the other 60,000 square feet, will be ready in January 2024. So that will still be going up while we have the radiotherapy and we're able to treat patients, because that's a standalone unit that will have a bridge to the main facility thereafter. So no, it's exciting, and the fact that Health City once again went ahead and made the investment to fill a gap here in the Cayman Islands, as well as just listening to our partners overseas. The two things they were saying that they needed were to get rid of the issue of the $1 million babies going to the US, neonatology, which will be coming online with the 2024 hospital, and then radiotherapy, which from a cost perspective is one of the highest cost areas when it comes to healthcare, as per our partners in other islands as well as in Central America.
Wonderful. All right, folks. So that's a big milestone, the groundbreaking and then the completion. coming up here shortly of that. So we'll definitely keep you guys abreast of when that opens, and I'm sure we'll be there for that event.
Definitely.
Yep. So, Shamari, you had a personal situation. Congratulations. In February, you actually became president of the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce.
I don't know why they added that in, but
yes,
but yes,
of course, we gotta
in February, definitely. And Sandy, I want to speak to you offline because we have our VOTEC stars, which are the vocational and technical stars, young Caymanians within non-traditional industries, whether it's diamond structures, construction, planning review examiners. And we have, from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, the first 6 that we're highlighting. You'll see the billboards going up around the island, as well as we have a social media campaign that's going to be launched very shortly. And would love to bring 1 or 2 of the young people on your program at some point in time so that they can tell you, about their industry and how they're successful. And they'll also be going into the schools to be able to try and encourage some persons that may want non-traditional paths to see that they can accomplish. So definitely look forward to sharing that with you as well.
And, we a lot of times on this program talk about the necessity for organizations to be good corporate citizens. And so, I'm pleased to see that Health City has given you the time, because I'm sure the chamber position keeps you busy as well as your regular full-time job, to be involved in your community. And I hear a lot of NPOs, and we'll talk about some of those here in a bit, mentioning a lot of how Health City has, come on board more than willing to assist with their, whether it's like events that they have coming up, sponsorship of prizes. I was at Sabrina Turner's Prospect, community meeting, community party and celebration this weekend for Christmas. And she gave away tons of, I don't know how many you gave her, but tons of mammograms and executive health checks and stuff. And, I think that some people were so appreciative because, again, it's something that either they have no insurance, they might be retired or whatever, so they're on a budget. And they were just really, really thankful to be able to get that voucher so that they can come in and make sure that they stay on top of their health. There was a gentleman who won one, and we, of course, she reminded him as a man that, listen, men can get breast cancer too. So if you want to use it for yourself, don't feel any way about it. He's an older gentleman, no harm in getting it done. But likewise, if you want to pass it on to a special, sister, aunt, church member, whatever, special person in your life, it's always nice to pass along something as well.
And so it would have been in October that we would have had our soft launch of our island-wide cancer screening, Sandy, whereby we're going into communities to actually screen across the various areas of cancer, just because we have a relatively small population. And seeing that we are going to have radiotherapy and as such, obviously on the back end, if you do have cancer, we're going to help you. We're going to work with you. But on the front end, it's always good to have these screenings, because you would be aware that if you catch a medical ailment early, the chances of either cure or quality of life being high thereafter it's much better than if you catch it at later stages. Absolutely. And that's why we want to make sure that we're going into communities to ensure that as many people as possible get screened. And obviously we're going to have a wellness component, working, with organizations such as HSA, Ministry of Health, to ensure that people are their healthiest version of themselves. However, also to have ongoing screening as necessary to make sure that anything that we can catch early, and be able to treat it, whether Health City or if they have cynical and currently they would go to HSA. We just want to make sure that as a healthcare community, we're working together to try and keep the Cayman Islands healthy.
Yeah, one of the ways, folks, that you can definitely get an idea of where your overall health is with these executive physicals. So, I did one. I mean, I think I had like the gold package where we bolted on the one for women specifically, and then the heart and cardiology one and all sorts of stuff. And again, getting to that kind of mid-age area in life, it definitely highlighted for me some things that I need to prioritize and that I need to work on. And so, some follow-up things have already occurred in terms of, okay, let's keep a watch on that A1C number because, it's got that slow creep over the years, but now it's getting dangerously to that level where we don't want it to go. So that's the importance of, just being aware of what your numbers are, being aware of what's going on with your health. It's not always a situation of, oh, I feel good, so I'm fine. Sometimes you're feeling good and you can still be having a cardiac issue that is, forthcoming. So the more definitely the better off you are to, again, as Shamari said, whether it's preventative care, any sort of treatment that you may need to take, or sometimes just keeping an eye on a situation and making some lifestyle changes in the interim being extremely important. So KK says, job well done to Health City. Sabrina is also here applauding everything they do. Don't forget, folks, that you can call in to the show. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. If you have any questions about anything that Shamari is going over, feel free to give us a jingle. And in March, they opened the oncology daycare suite at Cayman Bay. So tell us a little bit, Shamari, about what that is.
Right. So when persons need immunotherapy and or persons would know about chemotherapy and the such, as we've mentioned before, 70% of the population, even though Bordentown is the fastest growing district, 70% of the population still lives in Georgetown, West Bay area. Yes. And a lot of times when it comes to these treatments, what we were finding is that if elderly patient, persons who live in that side would have to fight traffic to drop off their parents or grandparents early in the morning to try and fight traffic to get back down. Yeah. And those of us that live east know that if you're dropping somebody off for, let's say, 8:30 appointment, there's no way you're going to be able to drop them at 8 and fight that traffic and get back into town in time office. So we'd heard some of the statements. We at times saw some persons who were there for extended periods of time and they were waiting for a ride. And we also know that in certain instances, when still need to work and take treatment, a 45-minute treatment, if it's in East End, and even if you live in East End and work in town, it's still an issue. So during office hours, and you would have 95% of the population that would be in town. So always thinking about the patient, always thinking about the patient's family members, we decided to go ahead and open that portion of our Health City clinic in Cayman Bay, so that persons right now, if they need immunotherapy, if they need chemo, can access it right in town. Very convenient. And then obviously those that are in the eastern districts can access from East End. So now it's a choice about where you'd want to go. And it's also a precursor, obviously, for our radiotherapy center that now will be ready a year later in the Cayman Bay campus, but it's our own purpose-built facility. And Sandy, just to mention that because we were talking about screening, and we have had calcium scoring tests, screening, we've had low-dose CT, we've had mammogram screening, PSA tests, the FIT tests for colon cancer. We've done it with the Cayman Islands government for civil servants. We've done it for seafarers. We've gone to churches as well. And in the new year, one of the first programs we're going to come on is to give you the full year of screening that we're going to do next year in the various districts, which churches, which family centers and the such, because we want to make sure that moving forward, this is something that we're doing on an ongoing basis. Once again, to ensure that we have the healthiest Cayman Islands population possible.
I love it. Love it. Community healthcare. That's what it's all about, folks. That's how we get to really just having, a healthier community overall. And so I'm going to throw out a trivia question out there because I want to give you guys enough time to make sure that you can think about the trivia question and hopefully get a correct answer.
So do they call in?
Yes.
How are you working?
They're gonna have to call. They're gonna have to call in.
There we go. I heard you the other morning.
So we have. I'm just gonna do this question on the fly, Shamari. So you might have to correct me ever so slightly, but
no.
There is a husband and wife team of physicians that work at HSA. I mean, at HSA. They work at Health City, Cayman Islands. Health City, HCCCI. Yeah. Now you gotta give me the name. A common name that they share, and at least, so there's like a two-parter.
That's hard.
Is this hard?
No,
this is easy. So give me the name,
okay.
And at least the profession of one of them.
Okay.
So what is their specialty? Oh, look at this! Look at this. We already got some smart alecky in the classroom. Good morning, caller.
Buenos dias.
Hello. Buenos dias, Denny. You're going to take your stab
man,
at this one?
Denny isn't allowed, man. I know Denny knows.
I'm just calling to give Shamari a heart attack. I'll leave it for somebody else.
All right.
Come on, Denny, go ahead, man. Denny, go ahead. Do your thing, Denny.
936 Bobo. He definitely knows.
Denny definitely knows.
He's kind of already tried to give you all a bit of a hint. So 936 Bobo is his telephone number. So this is a two-part question. We will give you. Let me just see which of the prizes now, because child, these prizes are good. So we have 5 executive physicals to give away. And also, I think we're going to do some mammograms as well. So we're going to give away mammogram vouchers.
Yes.
And then, yes. Ooh, people are on it this morning. Y'all are wide awake. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm just calling regarding that question.
Okay.
For husband and wife at Health City, it would be Dr. Benoit.
Yes.
Both Vinita and her husband.
And give me the profession, the specialty of at least one of the Benoits.
Oncologist.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We did it. So fantastic. So that wasn't too bad. So
I thought it would have been harder, but they were right on it, right?
No, man, my audience is they're on the ball. They're very, very smart. And Dr. Vinitha Benoit, who is the wife, is a medical oncologist. So absolutely correct. So caller, I see your number. Let me just jot it down. And then we'll pass that on to Shamari after the program so that he can get you your executive checkup. How does that sound?
Thank you. No worries.
All right, my dear. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good holidays when it comes.
Thank you. And make sure you call in when we start to give away all of our CMR prizes. We're starting tomorrow.
Sure.
All right,
no
honey.
worries.
Take care.
Bye.
So we're going to do trivia for those as well, but I think you guys are going to be blowing through these questions because look at that. Look at how easy that was. KK says, I don't know nothing about Health City people. Well, KK, if you've been paying attention, I know you're here every morning. You probably could have at least guessed the name.
That's
right. Yep, use those Google fingers, honey child. Good morning to the beautiful Miss Morna. How are you? She had a fantastic time on Saturday. I was there to witness her dancing and having a really good time at Sabrina's prospect party. It was so funny because she was complaining how she hadn't won anything all night. And then she was like the last person basically to win a prize. So she got up and did a little celebratory dance and everybody just thought it was so incredibly funny. So congratulations again to that caller. I will send your details through to Shamari, who'll be in contact with you. So in April, there was also the launch of the 4K. And when I see 4K, Shamari, I'm like, that's high tech. Because I know in the world of TVs, 4K quality is like amazing. So this is the 4K, is it arthroscopic tower
Correct.
For orthopedic surgery. Tell us what this is. It's not sounds interesting.
So you see, we need to bring Dr. Alwyn on to go through all the technical details.
Mhm.
But Dr. Alwyn, with the other orthopedists at Health City, always doing cutting edge work. So in the new year, when we go through all of the firsts, there are a lot of firsts from orthopedics for the Caribbean that we would have done right here at Health City in the Cayman Islands as well. And Dr. Alwyn will say, as technology improves, obviously the surgical skill can carry you to 95%, but the last component of precision that the human eye can't actually reach, that's what the use of technology would do. And he has always had robotic navigation, that the cuts are precise when you're looking at the bones and the implants and the such. And this is just another component that helps them to be able to do the best job possible. And if anybody has ever had any experience with Dr. Alwyn, Dr. Naranjan, and the such, you would know that they do such a great job. I mean, I can't go anywhere in public with a Dr. Alwyn, for instance, without people coming up and saying, "No, let me buy you your fruit punches that we're drinking," or let me buy you your food, because they're
so appreciative,
so appreciative and so over the moon with
Yes.
not only his ability but his bedside manner and everything that he does, from an orthopedic perspective. So we're always trying to be cutting edge. We're always looking at technology that will help improve patient outcomes. And Health City and physicians, when they come on, will tell you this as well. Health City listens to our physicians, and we always invest in the different devices that will help patient outcomes first and foremost.
Oh, fantastic. So this person says, as usual, please don't call my name, but kudos to them, thinking of the patient and their family members. And they say that another facility, whose name I won't call, could learn a thing or two from you guys. So Miss Morna Alejandra's in the house. Morning, Alejandra. Miss Joy joining us from Texas. Morna says congratulations to CMR as well. She won something as well, but I had a blast thanks to my MP for Prospect. So yes, it was absolutely a beautiful night. So listen, folks, you're listening to Rundown Tuesday with Health City. We're just doing a bit of a rundown, if you will, pun totally intended, on what Health City has done in the last 12 months alone. So these are just the highlights from the last year, 2022. So in May, they also launched their pharmacy delivery service. Now, this is a game changer, Shamari, because, we've all been there, especially during COVID. You need some medication and you might have restrictions on your ability to get out and get to the pharmacy. So tell us a little bit about how the delivery service works.
Right. So there's an actual number. I'm trying to pull it up as well, but if not, I'll get it by the end of the program, whereby you can call or WhatsApp in order to outline, obviously, the patient information so that we can make sure and cross-check and the such. There's certain levels of pharmaceuticals that we are able to deliver to your house. So once again, persons who, for whatever reason, may need a refill and may be located in the Western districts or Georgetown, or even within East End, that it would be more convenient for them to have it delivered to their house. We go ahead and we have that facility to be able to do that. So just as, we always say, thinking about the patient, thinking about how we can make the experience as best as possible, we're looking at various avenues, and this just happens to be, once again, one of the areas, listening to our patients who may have come to get pharmaceuticals, who may be located in other portions of the island, saying, boy, I wish, Health City could deliver to us so I didn't have to drive all this way. We definitely listen, and this was one of the areas that we instituted that we're proud of as well.
Fantastic. I was trying to see if I could make that my next trivia question, but that one might be kind of hard because I can't even find the answer.
No, we have it at our pharmacy as well as right there, just so that when patients come to get prescriptions, we can let them know if they need refills. And there's certain levels of patients that would be able to do it. Not everybody, not for just your regular over counter drugs and such. So we have that, but it's based on obviously our patient population that we can explain the types of deliveries that we can have.
Wonderful. All right, folks. Beautiful. So you can contact them by WhatsApp, which, by the way, it's a service that I have been using, not Health City, but where I normally get my stuff from, which is HSA. I take a low dose of amlodipine, and I have not, for the past year plus, called it, and I just WhatsApp them. It's super easy. Send them a picture of the bottle. Say, hey, I need a refill. Any issues? They say, oh, you need to renew your subscription. I just WhatsApp the doctor. I mean, you know, these things are available to us. The technology is there to make our lives easier. We're all extremely busy. Sometimes you can't get to the pharmacy. You can't get to, you know, do all these things, but to just be able to send someone a quick message and say, hey, can I go ahead and just get a refill on this? Now I need to take advantage of, I need to find out how those delivery services work, because that's something that definitely would be great for me. Saving me a lot of time, honey chill. So, you know, when you're busy, you're always looking for little nuggets of ways to save, even a little 25 minutes in your day. It really, really makes a humongous difference. And of course, when I was trying to look for the answer, I went to your Facebook page and I saw that once again, you guys are doing something wonderful in the community. You're sponsoring it looks like a health fair at the Layman E. Scott Senior High School Science Fair, my apologies, in Cayman Brac. Is that happening today, or that was yesterday that was?
That would have been, is it yesterday? It's either yesterday or today. I can't recall. I know Charles is over there for that, so I'll ask him right now.
Fair. Congratulations.
Yes. So what we've actually done, and Sandy, you would have heard from our Healthcare Explorers program, is that we work with the schools to understand within the curriculum for that semester what they need to cover. And then we actually make specific products from videos and working with our doctors and whatnot in order to make sure that we're meeting the curriculum needs. So the teachers are able to tick the box that they're meeting the curriculum needs, and we're able to produce videos that excite the youth, that's age appropriate. And in that vein, we were looking to see how can we get students interested in STEM and science to take medical pathways and to understand that it's an option. And one of the ways is actually through sponsoring science fairs with prizes and the such to get the schools, to help the schools, right, to be able to put on entire fairs with experiments and explaining and really make it interactive and exciting. And that's one of our new products that we're working with schools across the Cayman Islands to actually put on, you know, Health City Science Fairs with them in conjunction with the school for all of their students. And when it comes to corporate social responsibility, not only does Health City obviously give me the time needed to be involved, whether it's with Chamber, whether it's with Education Council, but also when we look at, for instance, East End Primary, there were certain things that they didn't have enough funds to do. So the PTA, there is a gold sponsor that we were the first gold sponsor, corporate sponsor, that we were able to actually sponsor funds so that they can provide, whether it's sporting equipment, science equipment, like whatever is needed. We're working with them to provide it so that the children actually gain the benefit of it. And obviously, in the first instance, we work with our schools in the Eastern districts, Bordentown, East End, and North Side. But any school across the island that would need something from a STEM perspective, we work with them to ensure that we can help them as well.
Beautiful. Love it. All right, folks. So again, you know, there's a lot of wonderful things that they're doing for our young people. And we've had some, of their program coordinators on talking about the internship programs. What was the one called again? There's the Shadow the Doctor one.
Shadow Doctor.
There's the summer internship program. They do career fairs. They do the STEM day camps. They offer academic grants and scholarships, as well as graduation awards, virtual field trips for young people to see exactly, you know, what happens sometimes at Health City and in a medical environment. And there's also the Health City Cayman Islands Mary G. Is that Seacole Award?
Yes.
For the highest first year GPA at the School of Nursing. So all of these sort of, the healthcare explorers element, all of these things encourage our young people, and sometimes not so young, because you can always go back and make nursing a second career, to really encourage individuals to find out more about the medical profession. There's tons of different jobs in medicine. You don't have to just be a doctor. You can, do all sorts of different things. And so just knowing what options are available and, physiotherapists and all sorts of different professions, trust me, will just open up, I think, a whole realm of possibilities for our young people to get engaged at that level and to find out if one of these careers might be something that they are interested in pursuing.
Definitely. And just to give an example, so you would have, for instance, UCCI, that if you are a Caymanian, obviously you can get either a scholarship through, Ministry of Education to be able to attend certain levels of courses. But what we find is at times we have an arrangement with UCCI, Ms. Donette, that's there, that if there is a student that isn't able to complete their courses because they're having other issues, whether it's they live on their own, they're a single mother, they can't afford the rent, and therefore they can't go to school because they have to go back to work, she will contact us so that we will sponsor those areas that government otherwise aren't necessarily able to cover in a timely fashion, so that the young person can continue to get their studies. That's where we play a role to be able to give those grants to help the young people out so that they can continue to focus and graduate and get their degrees, and then obviously go on to be more productive members of the society. So we're always looking for unique ways to help. And that's why we're here. At the end of the day, the goal of Health City is to help individuals, obviously being here in the Cayman Islands, to help the country. And these are unique ways that seem simple, but a lot of times those gaps exist. And that's where we want to fill, where nobody else can help fill that gap. Health City looks to help fill that gap as well.
Yep. And I can tell you, this is real. This is not just Shamari sitting here telling you something that don't go so. Because as a matter of fact, I think it was last week, I was speaking to a father who was saying to me, that he, with the interest rates going up, he's like, Sandy, it's a struggle. My daughter just started university. She wants to be a doctor and she's gone overseas. And he mentioned to me how, he'd reached out to his local MP to see if government had anything that they could assist with. And the pickings were small because, again, it was housing related. So her options were very, very limited, but it was housing related. In some cities, y'all think Cayman expensive. Trust me, you need to move to like New York and some other places. The rent can be, it can be a pinch in your pocketbook. And so he mentioned, just as an aside, that, he'd reached out to Shamari, and without hesitation, Shamari arranged for Health City to assist with some sponsorship for some of her housing costs. And I mean, listen, this is just an average Caymanian family trying to survive and make ends meet. They've got multiple children. They've still got children here in school. Some of them are in private school and they're trying to do their best by their kids. But now they've got a daughter who's off to university and they're trying to make sure that she can focus on her studies without having to worry about the finances of it all. And if you've ever been in this situation, trust me, I can raise my hand, where you're a student and you're also worrying about, oh my gosh, how's tuition going to get paid? How's this going to get paid? It is an extreme burden on you. And it's, in many respects, it should be an unnecessary burden. But, when organizations like Health City and Shamari through Health City step up and really offer that assistance, it's a game changer for the lives of those individuals. And I can tell you, again, from personal experience, you just appreciate it so much, because even if it buys you 1 or 2 terms, right? You can just kind of focus on your studies, and then you start to budget and forward plan for the remainder of, your semesters and so on. So that's, I can tell you, Shamari, I don't know if you probably have any clue who I'm talking about, but that father was just really, really appreciative of how you guys just really stepped up to the plate and offered that assistance.
No, definitely. And as mentioned, Sandy, we always look to see how we can help, and especially when there are areas that the government may not be able to help for whatever reason, we look, we analyze, and if it's going to help a young Caymanian succeed in the future, then we're all on board.
Yep. All right, I'm going to throw out another trivia question. I'm just trying to remember the answer myself. You might have to help me with this one, Shamari, but we were just talking about the the Explorers program and other educational internships and so on. So there is a person who is hold on now. Let me just try and get his I know I got a first name. Hold on now. Let me see if I can. Was this the show that he was on? So we're talking about the Healthcare Explorers program. And there is an individual at Health City who is in charge of, what is his title again? Hold on now. Give me the title, Charles. Charles. Did I just make it look Freudian slip? Give me the title.
So
I'm gonna make this so easy. Give me the title of his position. Do you know who I'm talking about, Shamari?
He's a senior education coordinator.
Senior education coordinator. There we go. Yes. So this is easy. It's gonna be a lot easier than you think. Who is it? Do you remember? He came on the show some months back, and so we are looking for a name of the senior education coordinator. I think let me just
phone ringing already.
I know. Oh yeah, yes. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the
Good
program.
Morning.
Hello, honey.
Is his name Charles?
Yes, but you got to give me a full name since I totally gave you the
Oh
answer.
no, I don't know the full name.
I wasn't gonna
You can make a guess because it's.
Right. I'll leave it for the next person.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd probably guess this one too, but yeah. That was a total Freudian slip on my part. So we got the first name being given to you as a tip this morning. So the question is, who is Health City's senior education coordinator? I've given you the first name. So you could probably just guess some really common Caymanian names and end up with the correct answer on this one. 936 Bobo is the telephone number. Johan, good morning. Oh gosh, Johan, we'll get to that after this segment. But yeah, honey, child, there will be a part 2 to that discussion. Alejandro says all wrong answers only. All right. Hello, caller. Good morning. Oh, did I hang up on that one? I'm sorry. Good morning, caller. Hello. Caller.
Hey.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Charles Bush.
Yay!
Hey, got it. All right.
Congratulations. All right, let me write down your number so we can get this right. Yes, it's Charles D. Bush. Very, very good. Congratulations, caller.
Thank you.
Another executive health check. We have some other people who are trying their luck as well. But listen, y'all need to add CMR to your speed dial. Is there such a thing as speed dial still? I think it still exists. Program it in your phone, because over the next week, we're going to have so many amazing prizes that we're going to be giving away. So look at that. Another executive health check will go to that young lady there who gets the correct answer. She probably knew. So beautiful. All right. So we have some time left. Let's go through and talk about what else Health City has accomplished in 2022. So there was the commencement of the headache clinic. What's this all about?
Yeah. So a lot of people suffer from headaches and migraines and other components. And we have a visiting physician, Dr. Rose, who actually travels once a month for us to put on a headache clinic. Once again, just understanding the needs of the community and filling those gaps. And the great thing about Dr. Rose as well is that she serves on one of our advisory boards in Canada. So we get a lot of patients from Canada here in the Cayman Islands, and we have physicians within the Canadian market that serve on an advisory board. So if a Canadian patient ever had any worry about going back to Canada and being able to get into the system, we've removed that barrier. So anyway, that's another relationship we have, but she's also a specialist when it comes to headaches, and she's here at least once every month to be able to offer that to the Cayman Islands community as well.
Interesting.
Sandy, I know we're getting closer and closer to the end of the program, so I just wanted to mention that in July we also would have had the launch of our robotic surgical program. So this is the Da Vinci machine, and I don't know, maybe this should be one of your questions, but we actually partnered with another physician who isn't normally resident at Health City to be able to operate and perform procedures from a gynecological perspective with the Da Vinci robotic. And maybe that should be a question. I won't give it away. But we look forward, as I mentioned, to always bringing the latest technology that can help with patient outcomes. And this Da Vinci machine is something that general surgeons, urologists, and those that are within the realm of gynecology, really look forward to getting trained on this machine, because the outcomes are that much better and the precision is that much higher. And the fact that you have certain skills with your hands, but the robotic machine can go in every which direction, that the physician is the person who still controls it and has the skill to control, to go in to do a lot of procedures that may be more difficult. If you were to do it open with your hands, they're able to reach a lot of other places. And we are one of the few, maybe one of two places in the Caribbean that would have the Da Vinci robot, just because it's more or less a monopoly when it comes to this type of machine. And the Da Vinci manufacturers decide where they put the robots and whether or not you can get one. And the Cayman Islands having such a small population, typically they wouldn't allow for it to be in here. But this is the benefit of having Narayana as our parent, who were purchasing 3 others. For obviously in India, there's a lot more volume. And they said, hey, we've been asking for this for almost a decade. We will only purchase these 3 if you make sure that we can have one in the Cayman Islands, and obviously you would service it. And they agreed. So it was based on Dr. Shetty saying that we needed it in the Cayman Islands, and the fact that, not holding them hostage, but just saying, we have
negotiation tactics.
Come on. Give us one in the Cayman Islands. And they agreed. And, there is an actual place in Florida that the physicians go to. A lot of the physicians that will use it would have used it before, but they have to do some retraining in Florida, and you get it certified, and you have proctors that come to say, yep, they're doing it correctly. And we're able to offer that moving forward. And we're having a great relationship with another physician at another facility on island that I'm not sure if persons would have been listening or reading of the press releases, but that's a great physician that's actually doing surgeries at Health City as well.
Yes. Well, let's run down the list before you leave us today of all of the corporate social responsibility events that Health City sponsors and is involved in. And, sometimes you guys will see an NPO here in the Tuesday slot, and that's because Health City has given up their slot to say, hey, have this particular one. There's one that I'm going to chat with you offline about that wants to come on the program, Shamari, during the holiday season to talk about, some of their sort of NPO concerns and just highlighting a few things for the community. But we've got the Stride Cancer Walk, Jasmine Flag Day, the GG 5K Run, the Catwalk for Cancer Fashion Show for the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, Light Up the Night for the Breast Cancer Foundation Beach Walk, the Gold Corporate Guardian for East End Primary School PTA, Seafire Resort Wellness Festival, the Breast Cancer Gala, Heart Warriors and Angels Beach Walk, the Chamber of Commerce Beach Cleanup, the Cayman Islands Cancer Society Thrivers Dinner, Movember, which is Men's Health Awareness Evening, at Delano Hislop Memorial 5-10K Walk, the Jasmine Palliative Care Conference, Older Persons Gala and Community Events, Cayman Prep and High School Wellness Fair, the Cayman Islands Health Care Conference, Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Community Education Events, and the Cayman Islands Cancer Society Lavender Brunch and Guardians Alive 10K Walk. And I think there's others as well that you guys
Oh yeah,
forgot.
but that's just there's many more. Many more, but that's just a list. But the Older Persons Gala and community events is also something that's near and close to our heart in working with DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, that also have responsibility for the more mature. And they were putting on, I think it was the first time, events and a gala for the more mature persons within our community, and we were more than willing to jump on board to be the major sponsor, just understanding that obviously we want to do a lot of things for the youth, but whatever we can do for the more mature as well, and even from a screening perspective, we want to make sure that we're taking care of persons within that age demographic that have helped to build the country that we now are reaping all the benefits from. So that was one that really stuck out to me, outside of obviously everything cancer related, more or less, will be there. Anything heart related will be there. So the little Angels and Warriors Walk, which has to do with pediatric cardiology, obviously we always support that as well. The Cayman Heart Fund, we also support their gala as well. But the Elderly Persons Gala and community events, we're very proud. And as they expand and do more things for the elderly, Hull City will definitely be there with them as well. And did we even mention the marathon? Did we even mention a marathon in that?
No, I mean, that just happened.
Yeah.
So yeah. And don't forget as well that if you are, HR in your corporate entity, you can contact Health City for some of their lunch and learn segments. DART, KPMG, Harmonic, CML, just some of the clients that they have worked with in terms of that. So fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. So as you can tell, so the interesting thing is, obviously the physicians and the nurses get to play a part of saving lives on a daily basis. And that's why they do what they do, and they work hard. But for the other arms of our organization that may not be medically inclined, such as myself, what really is near and dear to our heart is being able to help students in need, being able to excite young people to jump into the medical field, and or helping, whether it has to do with the more mature or with screenings. Like, that's where we get our excitement and our fulfillment from the position and the job. And we would have left out in September, Dr. Lexley Anglin completed her MBBS, and a part of her MBBS was through an internship that out of the UK they approved Hull City to be able to do, to count towards her graduation and her getting of the MBBS to become a doctor. And she was one of our first healthcare explorers. So it goes back to, once again, when she was 12 and 13, she came through one of our products. She kept in touch throughout her journey. And at the back end, when she was becoming a doctor, she was able to come back and have internship with Hull City to be able to help her to achieve. And that's what gets us exciting. Seeing a lot of the young people around, knowing that a few of them, if not a lot of them, will take medical career paths based on that one interaction that we've made available to the young people. So that gets us excited at Hull City.
Wonderful. Wow. Fantastic. Well, 2022, almost a wrap, folks. Couple more weeks left in this year. And then all of us are living, hopefully we're living in 2020. We're looking forward to not only living in 2023, but having better health and wellness. And of course, here in CMR, we got to kind of get cracking with our 50 by 50 plan now. We've been kind of slacking. But yes, we have a lot to look forward to, and Health City is going to have a lot on their table and their agenda. And they're going to be here every week, more or less. Joining us, Miss Corrine says, I love Health City. They do a lot. Ethel says, good morning, Sandy. Better late than never. She's present in class, folks. So we're going to be taking attendance now to make sure y'all are all seated and ready for part 2 of our Tuesday show, which I can assure you, just put on your seatbelts because it's going to be a doozy. Shamari, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. We enjoy having you on the program, learning about what you guys offer, your involvement in the community, which I think is really a game changer and so incredibly important. You're great corporate citizens, and we can just only say thank you.
No, and thank you, Sandy, for being here every Tuesday for us. And we look forward to, we had a great 2022, but we look forward to an even better 2023 with everything that obviously Health City will be doing in the community and just making for the best Cayman Islands possible.
Yep, beautiful. All right, folks, Lavana's in the house. Good morning, Lavana. Again, folks, you have been listening to Rundown Tuesdays, Medical Rundown Tuesdays with Health City. They're here every single Tuesday at 7:30-ish and telling us about and highlighting, a lot of the programs that they have on tap at Health City. So don't forget now, in our big box of Christmas prizes, we will include some additional gift certificates from Health City. I'll link up with Shamari, and it's going to be, it's going to be amazing. You guys, you should just be excited because I want to win some of those prizes. Trust me.
And Sandy, I'll have the physical voucher for the health certificates as well as the mammograms. I'll have those delivered to you so that you have the physical, so you can wrap those as well if you want.
Yeah, we'll put them in an envelope and stick a little bow on them. I've been looking for bows. Does anybody know where I can get some bows from? But yes, that sounds fantastic. And I think you and I are going to catch up, maybe a little coffee.
Yeah, Thursday would be good. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. This week I'm good.
All right, sounds good. I'll message you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Shamari. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, folks. So that is our Tuesday Rundown segment. Let's go ahead and just take a quick little commercial break here, and then we'll be right back after these messages.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now, focused on connectivity and collaboration, our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Cayman Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Cayman Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment. And now, Health City Cayman Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Cayman Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit, offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties, such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Cayman Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City Cayman Bay.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you guys so much. So, what a ting. All I can tell you is since yesterday, my phone has been blowing up. So many of you have been messaging about yesterday's topic. You've been calling, you've been WhatsApping, you've been emailing. So I want to read a few of those, and then we're going to definitely get to Rapist Renato here today. I can call him that now because he's actually been convicted. So we're going to talk about how he is not even bothered. So let me just see here now. And we got a thief on the loose who, it seems like you guys know exactly who he is. So this person sent us an email and they said, "Good morning, Sandra. I'm not a social media person, so I don't comment on social media. I listened to your podcast in regards to the Cuban migrants roaming the streets. Government said that they're not prisoners, therefore they can't detain them as prisoners. Does government know what kind of background some of these people have? Cuba has criminals in their country as well." Yeah. Some of these people could be criminals, yet they're allowed to walk our streets freely. Maybe some of the robberies that are happening lately are the Cubans. I don't know. I didn't know, sorry. They were allowed to be out in the community until listening to your podcast. In the 80s and 90s, Cayman would repatriate them to Cuba. The US does it all the time. Why are we keeping them here? So it's really not a question of why we're keeping them here so much as the speed of which we can actually get rid of them, so to speak. So the situation is, folks, we are, or they are subject to, we are subject to different international conventions that we have to follow, Geneva Convention and God knows what, how to deal with refugees. And so we have to, there's almost like there's a presumption in place that because they're Cubans, that they are a political refugee. I mean, they do have to submit an application and to supposedly prove it, but I'm telling you, the criteria for them to prove it seems to be little to nothing. I would venture, if I had to guess, this is just me speaking here. If I had to guess, I would say that probably in the past 5 years, every single person that has received this political refugee status is not a political refugee, but an economic refugee, which are two very different things. How do they prove? I want to know what the criteria is, right? So I did mention in yesterday's program that the government is looking to amend the bill and amend the act, the Customs and Border Control Act. So there's an amendment that's coming, and it's going to be looking at a few things, including, I thought that this one was kind of interesting when we look at the list of all the changes, including the determination under 111A, determination of well-founded fear. So let me kind of just show you guys what this looks like, and then we can talk about it a little bit here. So the Principal Act is amended by inserting after Section 111 the following section: determination of well-founded fear. So in other words, how do you know what that is? How do you know what a well-founded fear is, right? And so this amendment, let me just see if I can increase the size here. Yeah, there we go. So this amendment says that the director, in considering an application under sections 111(1), subsection 1 and 4B, shall take the approach set out in subsections 2 and 3 in arriving at a determination on whether an applicant's fear of persecution is or remains well-founded. The director shall first determine whether, on the balance of probabilities. Now that's really, really important, folks. This is Law 101. When they use a term like on the balance of probabilities, that's a burden of proof standard. And the good news is it's not the highest standard in the world. So when you talk about in criminal law, what the standard is, for example, the prosecution has to prove, it's not on the balance of probabilities. It's like without a reasonable doubt sort of thing, right? And that's a high burden. And the reason why it is so high is because you're seen as taking away someone's freedoms and liberties when you're going to be sending them to jail potentially for wrongdoing. So the balance of probabilities is a lower standard than that, but it is a legal standard for deciding the outcome of civil cases in particular. So this is quite good. And so that is actually what the standard is that will be used. So in a court of law, the definition that would be used is that a court is satisfied that an event occurred if the court looked at what has been presented to it by way of evidence. And it's like, oh, okay, the balance of probabilities is probably on this side versus that side, right? So on the evidence, the occurrence of the event was more likely than not. Yeah, but I think it's important because I myself was wondering, how do they determine whether somebody, just like I'm telling y'all this morning, in a criminal court, defendants can say anything they want. in their defense. And most of the time, it ain't true. So, how much weight do you put on it? Do you, if the person's a person of good character, the judge knows that you give them the benefit of the doubt that they might be telling the truth, but a lot of these defendants be lying right through their teeth, honey child. So it goes on to say that the applicant for asylum has a characteristic that could cause the applicant to fear persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion, or has such a characteristic attributed to the applicant by others. So this is now getting into the nitty-gritty, folks, of what are some of the things that these migrants are going to have to prove. Not everybody is a political refugee in Cuba. Most of these people, the Cuban government don't know who the heck they are. So when they're talking about, I'm a political refugee, the Cuban government like, who you is, who you be? Who your granny is, who your mama is. Normally there is a reason why you'd be considered a political threat to the Cuban government. So things like you've been active active member known to the Cuban government. You have been, monitored by the Cuban government. You have to be able to show some evidence of this stuff now. I'm sick and tired of everybody coming off of our shores and claiming XYZ, and poor little foo-foo Caymanians be like, oh, okay, we're just going to accept that. No. What's your proof? A newspaper clipping showing where, you had protested in something before. Your photo in the newspaper clipping, please. Not just a name, because we know people got the same name. Yeah. You're part of a minority political sect or religious sect in Cuba. So, most of them would probably be Catholic, I'm guessing. Christian, whatever. Maybe you're a Muslim in Cuba and you have political affiliations and, you've been protesting in the streets. Then you might be kind of higher up the list of undesirables in Cuba, and they'd be like, oh, we don't like you, we might just throw you in jail. This is good because I think that this firms up the criteria a little bit more than just what we've had in place, which has been a bit willy-nilly, in my opinion. It goes on in subsection 2B to say the applicant does in fact fear such persecution in the applicant's country of nationality. Where did my little cursor go? Cursor being the mouse, folks, not somebody cursing in the studio. Where did it go? I can't see it. All right. The applicant does in fact fear persecution in the applicant's country of nationality, or where the applicant does not have a nationality, the country of their former habitual residence as a result of this characteristic. So, it might be a thing that you are a Muslim, you're a minority in Cuba, but, you're not really fearful. So this goes another step in that you actually have to be fearful. And I guess I'm not sure exactly how they're going to determine that, but I'm guessing there's probably more than one way to determine whether or not someone, has that type of fear. Now, this is where these so-called lawyers in Cayman and people who submit refugee applications, they try to get very, very creative, honey child. They be putting all kind of foolishness on that application. Oh, yes, they're fearful. Well, I'm going to encourage CBC and whoever else reviews these applications to ask them, really put them to the test. Why are you fearful? What's the evidence to demonstrate that you're fearful? Being Cuban isn't enough to claim that you're a political refugee. You understand what I'm saying? And I love the fact that one of the changes that is definitely coming down the pipeline is that they're going to now be reviewing your status on a regular basis, i.e. every 3 years. So let me make it very, very clear, because I had the same question. I've reached out to the powers that be for clarification. And I said, does it apply or will it impact existing refugees specific to this 3-year review? And they said, yes, definitely, except those that are having an appeal submitted. This is good. Because you cannot be a political refugee. This is you wanting to have your, how does it go, Soka? You're eating your cake and having it too? Is that the right way we should be saying it? Whatever. You guys know what I mean. You can't be claiming political refugee status and then every other weekend you jumping on a plane and going to Cuba. I'm sorry, but say what? Yes. Some of them have acquired Cayman status as a result. And we see them now in the business of transporting goods back and forth to Cuba. They don't look like they're fearing a damn thing, if you ask me. I'm just saying. There's also going to add, inserting 111A, the following section. Offenses relating to false or misleading information. Ooh, hallelujah. Where's my little hand clap? Do we have hand clap in this thing here? We need to add some applause. Yes. Yes, honey chill. We need this section here. So it's now, if an applicant under section 111 makes or causes or allows to be made any statement or representation which is false in a material particular. What? Which is false in a material particular. Okay, I think y'all can uncomplicate that term. In a material particular. These legal drafters, honey chill. Use some common language. And which that applicant knows to be false, or which the applicant does not believe to be true. Because they can be two different things, Naina. You might know something to be false for a fact, but you mightn't believe that it's true either. Alters, causes, or allows to be altered any certificate, license, permit, or other document submitted in support of an application under section 111, or uses or possesses or causes or allows to be used or possessed any forged, altered, irregular passport, visa, certificate, or other connected document, or any endorsement on any of such documents which has been altered or forged, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to imprisonment of 2 years. So they've actually created an offense in here because I think they know that some of these migrants have been providing them with false documents or allowing other people to provide them with false documents that then our government is relying on. And there goes the lie about, they're not even bona fide refugees, political refugees. This is good. I like it. Create an offense for lying. Yes. And submitting false documents. Then they go on to talk a little bit about the Refugee Protection Appeals Tribunal. Yes. Amendment of section 114, the procedure for appeal. So listen, folks, I think the entire situation here is they are tightening up the law. Yes. And we, the people of the Cayman Islands, appreciate it. We all have to be guided by the law in this country, whether we like it or not. We cannot go around disrespecting the law and just doing whatever the heck we want. If you do that, that means that you are a criminal and there will be consequences that you have to deal with. Yeah. And the Cubans are no different. They're not above the law. They're not special in that regard. None at all. So someone messaged me this morning. They said, Sandy, I think what offended people is when you said they were unwanted visitors or guests. Unwanted guests was a term that I used. And I said, how could that be an offense? I'm still saying that you're a guest. Sometimes we have unwanted guests in our homes. And simply what I meant by that, unwanted in the sense that you've not gone through any correct protocols to get here. You don't have a work permit, so you didn't submit all that paperwork. And, even administrator or board didn't decide, okay, this person should be permitted to come and work in this capacity, stamp their passport, approve their work permit, pay a fee. Yeah, they're not a visitor. They didn't go and get a visitor's visa. They didn't provide a police clearance. They didn't do anything. So that's all I meant. I don't know how y'all are interpreting it when I said an unwanted guest. But I think y'all missed the point. I still said guest. So even when you have an unwanted guest in your home, you're going to still treat them with a certain amount of, respect, certain amount of decorum. Yeah, that's why I said we're not here saying to to abuse or misuse these people in any way, shape, or form. I've never, ever endorsed anything like that. They're still guests, and I believe that the country has an obligation, as long as they're here as guests, to deal with them fairly, deal with their applications as swiftly and expeditiously as possible, and, where necessary, put them back on the plane and send them back to Cuba. That's all. So y'all got a little bit up in arms about nothing. All right. So Johan, good morning to you. So Johan says the exact same thing that you discussed yesterday about the Cuban refugees that are sponsored fully by CIG happened yesterday at Popeyes at 7 p.m. Now, I think that they like Popeyes, by the way, because Popeyes also offers free Wi-Fi. Popeyes might have to lock down that network, honey chill. So that appears to be one of the locations that we have heard time and time again that they are hanging out at. And yes, Johan says that they were essentially out there begging, which is the exact same thing that we said on yesterday's program. And it's not even like they're begging for the good Popeyes chicken. They just want money. So I think that Popeyes, unfortunately, is going to have to address this issue. Lock that Wi-Fi, honey child. Sad, but you might just have to do it. Johan goes on to say that they were dressed fresh with the latest Nikes from head to toe, yet begging for cash. Not even me can be dressing so fresh with the latest Nikes. Wow. I tell you, what a drama. Good morning, Miss Della. She says, I hope I don't meet up with any because it's not going to be nice. I detest people begging, especially people like them. When a person who genuinely needs help, believe me, I am my father's daughter. I help those. Miss Della, this is what we were saying yesterday. This is actually my greatest fear, is that they're going to buck up on the wrong person on the wrong day in the wrong moment, who's going to be like, listen, just leave me alone and get away from me. And then that is going to cause, some sort of a situation. And we don't want that, we don't want any confrontations of that kind, because I don't think that's going to be in our best interests or their best interests. Now, yesterday afternoon, someone sent a message, and I'm going to simply read this. I have no way of verifying this. I'm just telling you what the person said to me. And it did bring back a moment in time when I was a child where something happened to me in America. It happened to have been a Spanish person. I don't know necessarily if they were from Cuba. Most likely in Florida, though. Back in the 80s, they were probably from Cuba. But not necessarily. So I'm not going to be saying, they were definitely a Cuban. But this person sent me the following, which I found to be extremely disturbing. And this really kind of got under my skin. So here is what was sent on WhatsApp. This person said, Dear CMR, today I witnessed 3 Cubans walking into Foster's. Here we go. And they passed the young lady they admired. And one of them boldly said, Mommy, if we wasn't here, the F word, you hard, with a smile on his face. I was like, really? What are we allowing to freely roam our islands? They show no form of respect to no one. Now, boy, I tell you what, Lord Jehovah, I mean, you can never say how you are going to react to a situation. But if I overheard this, I would have probably taken that can of rice and beans in my hand and pelt somebody in the head. This is disgusting. This again is what I'm talking about. This is not the Cayman culture. You don't walk around in a grocery store and to total strangers say such vulgar and disgusting things to them. Like, really? I think before our government lets them out on the general population and lets them roam around in vast numbers, because they seem to sort of, for whatever reason, don't really want to travel solo. So you'll tend to see 3, 4, 5, 6 or more at a time. You need to sit down and have a debriefing with them and explain to them there's certain behavior in this country. First of all, this is actually illegal. She could have called the police, and this dude can end up in court over this. It's insulting the modesty of a woman. And also, I mean, I would take this as a threat. This is a form of assault. Somebody needs to talk to them. Y'all need to have some kind of courses before allowing them to roam the streets on what is appropriate behavior and what isn't. And this is definitely, if this happened, I am just so disgusted by this. Absolutely wrong. Wow. If somebody said that to me, oh my God. I might have to call Tiffany Conley, honey chill. Be like, Tiffany, my girl, come beat somebody up for me. Oh my gosh. No, sir. Ms. Della said they are illegal trespassers. Well, I mean, I don't know what the policy is with the Wi-Fi situation. If they just allow people to hang out who are not buying any chicken. I doubt that was the intended purpose, but I think they might have to lock down that Wi-Fi. Yeah. Alejandra says they need ask why they don't want to stay in Cuba. Well, of course, all of them are going to claim political asylum is the thing, right? Miss Liana says that they're hanging out at the schools, yelling at young girls. Say what? Oh, no. No. This is no bueno. Wow. So I was telling you when I read this comment yesterday, this reminded me of the first time in my life that I became aware as a child that I was being sexually, what's the word I'm looking for? That I was being sexually harassed, right? I remember it because my aunt, we just gone to church. So I was dressed in my Sunday finest and she decided to stop at a gas station. And for some reason I was sent inside. This was a long time ago. So I can't remember if back in those days, if you had to prepay, if I was sent inside to pay the bill or whatever. And there was a Spanish person there, a Spanish man at the counter that he was actually speaking in Spanish, but I understood enough of what he said to know that I should be highly offended. And more importantly, I was a child and he was not. So I was like, really? But as a child, you're afraid to even say anything, especially in the United States of America, child, and people be kidnapping you. And so I just hurried up and scurried out of there and got back in the safety of the family vehicle. It's beyond uncomfortable, and no child should have to be exposed to this type of vulgarity and nastiness. And now as an adult who has a daughter of my own, I can tell you, even before I had her, when I see people looking at not just children, but women in a particular way, a lot of times I will say to them, what are you looking at? I stare them down in an equally disgusting manner, whether it's me or somebody else. And I'll be like, why are you ogling, whatever the word is, at that woman? Why are you sexualizing her with your eyes? You're a disgusting pig. So a lot of times, we are not necessarily in the line of fire, but we have to step up and defend other women and defend children in particular who are not in a position to defend themselves. Because trust me, this stuff is real. Y'all know the stories I've told you about men. Now, for the most part, this be Jamaican men be trying to whistle at people. And I tell them straight up, I look at them, I said, excuse me, are you and I friends? Do I look like I'm your companion? And when they hear the tone of my voice and then that side, I ain't giving them. And I might drop a few words on them too. Then they'd be like, oh, miss, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, never mean no harm. Then keep your whistling to your damn self. Oh, it's part of the Caribbean culture. No, it's not. And if it's the culture in your country, wherever the hell you're from, I don't give a damn. You're now in the Cayman Islands. Make some adjustments, okay? Because we don't want it. Sandra says that they only need to say that I was in prison to get asylum. But what was the reason? Was it rape? Was it for stealing? Was it murder? I feel sorry for a government. Well, my God, I hope that is not the only criteria. Because people go to prison every day and normally they're criminals. They're not political refugees. So I'm going to put this question, Sandra, to the powers that be to see if they can clarify that that has been the criteria. Because I mean, if it has been, my God, no wonder we're in trouble. Let me try and find out, honey child. Because, again, we don't know. This is the thing about it. Because a lot of times we don't know what the procedure is. No one is telling us, that's for sure. And so it would be good to know. Yeah? All right. Let me see here now. That's so strange. Okay. So this person saying they can't get on the show today. I don't know why. There's the link, honey chill. Cannot get online to Facebook. Just click on the link. Oh, they said they eventually got on. Okay. All right. Alejandra says, like how they accept any drugs on island should be mandatory that they attend church they believe in because they got nothing to do, community volunteers. Well, I was telling y'all my position yesterday about this is they're getting a lot of our government money, and I think they should be doing something for it. And it would reduce the idleness of walking around all day long as well. Caller, beautiful good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Sandy.
How are you?
Yeah. Interesting topic. Mm-hmm. This is Barry again.
Oh, yes, I recognize the voice.
Yeah. Look here, I see this being a perpetual problem because, first of all, there's no real deterrent right now in the States from coming illegal. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, that looks like the way to go. We the ones that buying the tickets are the real idiots because you can go there now and you can get $400,000 as an illegal, and you can fight for the country and get $100,000. Mm-hmm. So there's no real deterrent. It's the Wild West. Mm-hmm. This globalist BS is what's screwing up the whole world today. Mm. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a perpetual problem that's going to continue because they're actually giving incentives to come to the States as illegal. Of course, now and then you'll hear one little capture. Mm-hmm. You know, you got 81 terrorists that so-called been caught out of the 5% that is checked. And there's and another thing I want to say too, and I'm gonna be kind with my words here, or cautious with my words. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, it's near and dear to us. There's a lot of airlines now that are flying people from Cuba to Nicaragua and neighboring countries. And it's no secret that you have countries now that are entering their prisons, and the goal is to get them to go to the States. And as you know, once you hit Central America, once you pay the cartels and the other ones that push in their fentanyl, that's an illegally brought through the U.S. borders. Mm-hmm. The chemistry is being done in China, and the drug is being made in let's say Mexico and neighboring countries, and it's walked right into the U.S. And there's not a damn thing being done about it, and this is the foolishness that's going on. More people have died of fentanyl than the so-called virus, than anything else. And so, just to make it short, I believe the problem's not going to get no better because it's too much incentives for them to come to the States, and they're being flown in. They're being flown in, and I think future governments, Caribbean countries that are doing this foolishness, they need to be careful because future governments may decide to do something about this illegal thing for once and for all. Mm-hmm. At a point in time, it was under control. Now it's the Wild West, and a lot of countries need to watch what they're doing because a lot of countries are flying these people into Nicaragua and other countries, and once you hit that base, then you can just take the I call it the Silk Road. Because when you check it out, it's like the Silk Road back in China, back in the day when you used to do the trading. Well, they're doing the same trading because they're pushing the child porn, they push drugs, even adult smuggling. So it is still the Silk trade. It's just shifted from India and China to Central America. Yeah. And I'll continue to listen, and one good thing about your show is, it's very informative. I like it. It has I think a lot of things that's going on here and other places we would not know about if it wasn't for your show. So many times I thank you. I continue to praise you. No one's perfect. No one gets it 100%. But I like to say, if it wasn't for you, we would know a lot of things going on in this place.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, my dear. Thanks. So again, very, very appreciative of the callers who take the time to call in and express their opinions. I know that a lot of people listening to the show say to me off air, sometimes they're shy to call in, or they might be civil servants. And listen, even as a civil servant, you have a right. This is your country. You have a right to voice your opinion. There might be some restrictions depending on where you work, certain things that you can't really directly speak about relating to your respective jobs, but that doesn't mean that you can't call in and talk about general things that are happening in the community or areas of concern and express your opinion. So I encourage people, the more that the government knows that you are participating in this so-called democracy that we have, the more they might actually pay attention. So it's not just once every 5 years or 4 years, as the case may be, that you have a voice. You have a voice all the time. You've just got to exercise it. Good morning, Colin. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Sandra. And how are you today?
Oh, I'm wonderful, my dear. How are you?
I'm okay too. It's such a lovely day.
Yes.
I don't really feel like complaining that
the
much.
Christmas breeze has been amazing the last week or so.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And we are so blessed in so many ways. Now, I heard you said something just now, and I that was your opinion. Now, hear my opinion. My opinion is our government and governments, and I'm talking about this one in particular, because this is new, but past governments have not even been able to put our good for nothing, I'm going to say women and men to work. So I think the Cubans got a poor chance of government letting them do something. Now, if you come West Bay, and I mentioned this on your show before, all you got to do is to pass West Bay Public Beach. The West Bay Public Beach, not the 7 Mile Public Beach, the West Bay Public Beach. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. That's only one part of it. The next part of it is you drive by the Bosun Bay Presbyterian Church, and you turn on your left instead of turning right. The road go down in there. It goes right back to the Bosun Bay Bosun Bay Cemetery. It's you see the guys sitting on, the young men, young. And if you got your car windows screwed down, you better go a little bit faster, or the ganja, the scent of ganja is stifling, okay? But the part that gets me, Miss Sandra, is that we got all of these police, and when anything happens, you hear that we got to hire more police. No. We need to occupy them with some what you call work. Some time ago, I was walking my dog. We usually walk our dogs anyway. And it was early in the morning, and it was me and the dog. And they stopped and they said, "Are you just walking alone?" I said, "As you can see, it's me and my dog." "Well, you should be walking with someone else as well." Okay, I took that as a warning. Now the windows went back up, of course, because it's early in the morning, and they're enjoying the air condition. And They have crossed me 200 times since that. Just me and the dog. Not a word. Not stopping. Not nothing. Not. Now, I'm not saying it's all policemen, but they're not getting the proper training. I mean, real proper training, because I have lived in other countries except Cayman. And those police are police. They are like military trained. Not get 6 weeks of classroom work or whatever they do, and a lot of them can't even write a statement. You make you wonder, where is the money going for all of these police for this small community or this small little island with 70,000 people, and yet we can't do anything about the drugs, the idleness, our own people. And sometimes we have people from abroad joining them because they're now married or engaged or linked up with a Cayman man, a Cayman woman, or something, and they think they have that right to just sit down and be idle when people like us is working people, but yet retired, and we help so many people. And it makes you feel like I cross these places, I don't know how many times a day, and I feel like I could just, and I say what I meant, what my meaning is, but I could go on, Miss Sandra, like I often say, and I thank you for bringing these things to us. I also thank Health City every Tuesday morning that you have them, because it's so many things that we can learn from them, and we don't know. And I thank you for your show. Thank you for the good information, like your last caller said. And like I said before, I'm not blaming all the police, but we need to see them doing more than just passing out bad drivers ticket or speeding or something. We need to see that. So I wish you a good holiday, and you and your family, and a good show, and continue with the work that you're doing. Thank you, Ms. Sandra.
Right,
good morning.
Thank you so much. All right, so 936 Bobo is the telephone number. Feel free to call in. We've got some comments online. So Charles says, I feel that they're doing this to get the government's attention so that they can let them leave and be on their way to where they wanted to go, not Cayman. Again, Charles, I question if that continues to be the case, because I can tell you, if they really wanted to leave this country, they wouldn't even bother applying for political asylum. You know, there are lots of indications from my experience that as of late, their end goal is simply to leave Cuba. And if they end up here, well, this is not a bad jurisdiction to end up in, because you're going to be fed, well taken care of, apparently wearing the latest Nike shoes and everything else, and still can afford to go around begging people. And, you know, some politicians are okay with you going around in their community begging. So I don't know. I mean, there could be far worse things for them to have to do. Now, I don't know if I'm thinking about even what they do in Miami, and I can't for the world of me. Of course, I'm not hanging out like in Little Havana or anything like that, but you know, I don't see them just roaming the streets like this when they go to Miami. So it's very peculiar that here in Cayman they feel like that's the thing to do. Balika, good morning. Former legal drafter says that the term in a material particular is commonly used in evidence to suggest something must specifically relate to you or a particular thing. Okay. That's interesting. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Are you trying to be on air?
Hello, morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I have one situation I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Me can go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, you're on air, so as long as you know that probably thousands of people are listening, it's okay.
Oh, no, me not want to be on here.
Okay.
Talk to you
All right. So, yep, we're still live. So, you can give me a call a little bit later on after the show.
Okay. No
All right. Okay, my dear. Good. So, yes, when y'all call me on my personal number, sometimes I don't know what it's about. Most of the time, I have no clue why you're calling. I just see the number. So, I guess not. All right, folks. So here's what someone said. They said, I'm going to ask Chuck for some overtime this morning. They said that the interesting thing about what's happening in the community as it relates to the Cuban nationals is that they come on Cayman Airways from Cuba and they come here, and that there's even a private charter, right? I'm going to go check this out on Friday at the airport. Apparently the Flowers Group or Flowers Company, whatever, Frankie Flowers and his group of companies actually charters a flight to take them from Cayman to Nicaragua. And I thought this is really, really interesting. Because remember what Jamaica said? That they were using Jamaica as a transport point to then enter the US, enter Nicaragua legally, but then the end goal is to try to get to a lot of them to get to the US through the Mexican-US border illegally. And it's just a shorter trip if they can go through Nicaragua. Look at the map, folks, and you'll figure out exactly why this is working for them. And so the interesting thing about that is Jamaica is trying to close that loophole. And here we are allowing it to happen and allowing Caymanian-owned companies to make money off of charters to be able to get them into Nicaragua. Every Friday, does this charter leave, is what I'm being told? What mess we in. You cannot make this stuff up. Someone says there's no control of these Cubans. They are everywhere. Yesterday, I saw a senior immigration officer stopped two well-dressed young men who were walking. He took their picture and didn't do anything about it. They were from Bodden town. I wondered how they were allowed to be in town. Well, this is the thing. Like I said, there's no restrictions on their movements. The government has said that they can't stop them from walking. Apparently, they're very good walkers, Joe. Walking from Georgetown to Bodden town and giving them rides, and when they get in the car, stealing your briefcase with your documents in it and all kind of stuff. There's no restriction on their movement once they've been processed up to a certain point in the whole situation, which I think is very, very interesting. So Mr. Balika goes on to say, in relation to this term in a material particular, so he says that, so it's not enough to say that people in Cuba are being persecuted. You must show that you in particular were persecuted or had reason to be fearful. Very good. Awesome. Yes, and I think that's important. Jim says if they're out begging when receiving the assistance you have stated that they are, they should be picked up and returned to the detention center, having them prepared to be sent off island. And let us not forget, as someone mentioned to me yesterday, that the act of loitering and begging is actually criminal offenses. So, keep that in mind. So those y'all who want to, nothing wrong with this, I'd rather than begging and stealing, there would both be criminal offenses. And again, I encourage you to raise your standards. I'd rather you smoke pot than do crack cocaine. Okay. It's like, if it's an illegal drug, it's a legal substance, it's an illegal substance. Ms. Della says it took the PAC government to clean the Cuban mess. The progressive, regressive couldn't think to put it in place. Hope all those voting for them realize what a mess they conveniently turned their heads on. Well, I mean, I cannot argue with that point, that this has been something that has been festering for a really long time because of the economic situation. And by the way, there should be a presumption against someone applying for political asylum when you know what's happening in the world economy. And this has been driven by the economic world, the downturn that we're all living in, inflation, increased interest rates. It's hitting us, it's hitting people in Cuba, it's hitting everyone. So this mass exodus, everybody around the world is reporting that this mass exodus of Cubans is directly related to the financial crises which has started during COVID. So there should be a presumption, in my opinion, against all cases being one of political asylum, because then how do you explain that all of a sudden all these people are leaving Cuba en masse right now in this point in history because they're all being politically prosecuted? No, the one common denominator that we're very much aware of is the state of the economy, right? The increasing pressures on everyone around the world. So it shouldn't be something that, we should be out here in the streets thinking that this is related to any kind of political asylum situation at all. Now, listen to this headline from just a day ago in the New York Times. It says, this is the headline, Cuba's declining economy prompts historic migration to the U.S. Like I just said before. Yeah. The pandemic and tougher U.S. sanctions have decimated Cuba's economy, prompting the biggest migration since Fidel Castro rose to power. Lord Jesus, the biggest. That's like a lot. Goes on to say that Cuba is depopulating. It's the largest exodus yet, threatens the country's future. It's not just threatening their futures, it's threatening the future of other countries as well. So they have a guy here in this article. His name is Roger Garcia Ordaz. He's tried to leave Cuba for the United States 11 times. And he says, of course, I'm going to keep on throwing myself into the sea until I get there. Lord Jesus. What a mess. So he's tried to leave 11 times on boats made of wood, styrofoam, and resin. He has a tattoo of each failed attempt. Okay. A tattoo for each failed attempt, including 3 boat mishaps and 8 times picked up at sea by the U.S. Coast Guard and sent home. Go, U.S. Coast Guard. Y'all need to be in our waters too. Hundreds of homemade rickety boats have left this year from the shores of, is this Baracao? Is that how that's pronounced? Baracao? A fishing village west of Havana, where Mr. Garcia, 34 years old, lives. And so many that locals call the town Terminal 3. Of course, I'm going to keep on throwing myself into the ocean, into the sea, he says, until I get there. Or if the sea wants to take my life, so be it. Living conditions in Cuba under the communist rule have long been precarious, but today, deepening poverty and homelessness have set off the largest exodus from the Caribbean island nation since Fidel Castro rose to power over half a century ago. The country has been hit by a 1-2 punch of tighter U.S. sanctions and the COVID-19 pandemic, which eviscerated some of Cuba's lifelines, aka the tourism industry. Food has become even more scarce and more expensive. Lines at the pharmacies with scant supplies begin before dawn, and millions of people endure daily, hours-long blackouts. Wow, this puts things in perspective, though, I must say, when you realize, how fortunate we still are. Over the last year, nearly 250,000 Cubans, more than 2% of the island's 11 million population, have migrated to the United States, most of them arriving at the southern border by land, according to the U.S. government data. Wow, that's a lot, 2% of the population. Even for a nation known for mass exodus, the current wave is remarkable. It's larger than the 1980 Mariel boat lift and the 1994 Cuban rafter crises. That was the one, 94, that impacted us in tent cities. So it would have been around 94 that we had that. Yeah. So in the 1994 Cuban rafter crises combined, y'all hear that? This exodus is larger than the 1980 Mariel boat lift and the 1994 Cuban rafter crises combined. Until recently, those were the island's two biggest migration events. But while these movements peaked within a year, experts say that this migration, which they compare to a wartime exodus, has no end in sight. Lord Jehovah. Immigration, CBC, Cayman Islands government, are y'all paying attention? I'm going to send this article from the New York Times right now to the premier because y'all need to know what's coming down the pipeline. Please and thank you. Yes, this is very, very, very concerning. No end in sight. You not got millions of dollars to spend on this every year. All right. Well, this is what the experts are saying. No end in sight. And threatens the stability of a country that already has one of the hemisphere's oldest populations. The avalanche of Cubans leaving has also become a challenge for the United States. Now, one of the highest sources of migrants after Mexico, Cuba has become a top contributor to the crush of migrants on the U.S.-Mexican border, which has been a major political liability for President Biden and which the administration considers a serious national security issue. Shall I repeat that again? The U.S. considers the Cuban migration situation as a serious national security issue because you don't know what you're getting. Yeah. The article goes on to say the numbers for Cuba are historic, and everybody recognizes that. This is according to a senior State Department official who was not authorized to speak publicly about the matter. He's still talking anyway. That's how it happens all over the world. People still talk. That said, more people are migrating globally now than they have ever been, and that trend is certainly bearing out in our hemisphere as well. Many experts say that the U.S. policy towards the island is helping to fuel the very migration crises that the administration is now struggling to address. To appeal to Cuban American voters in South Florida, the Trump administration discarded President Barack Obama's policy of engagement, which included restoring diplomatic relations and increasing travel to the island. Thank you, President Trump. President Donald J. Trump replaced it with a maximum pressure campaign that ratcheted up the sanctions and severely limited how much cash Cubans could receive from their families in the United States, a key source of revenue. Thanks, Trump. You're the reason why some of them are now leaving. This person goes on to say, this is not rocket science. If you devastate a country 90 miles from your borders with sanctions, people will come to your borders in search of economic opportunity, says Ben Rhodes, who served as Deputy National Security Advisor under Mr. Obama and was the point person in talks with Cuba. Although President Biden has begun to retreat from some of Mr. Trump's policies, he's been slow to act for fear of angering the Cuban diaspora and incurring the wrath of Senator Robert Menendez, a Democrat and a powerful Cuban American who chairs the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And this is according to Professor William Leo Grande. And he's a professor at American University, and he's written extensively on the U.S.-Cuban relations. The administration has also expressed concerns over human rights on the island following the Cuban government's crackdown and massive protests last year. These two reasons, one domestic politics and one foreign policy, reinforce one another, says Leo Grande. While any significant rollback of sanctions remains off the table, the two governments are engaged in efforts to address the extraordinary migration surge. Washington recently announced that it would restart consular services in Havana in January and issue at least 20,000 visas to Cubans next year, in line with long-standing agreements between the two nations, which officials hope will dissuade some people from trying to make the dangerous journey to the United States. Havana has agreed to resume accepting flights from the United States of Cubans who are deported, taking them back, another move to try to discourage migration. The Biden administration has also reversed the cap on money that Cuban Americans are allowed to send to relatives and license a U.S. company to process the wire transfers to Cuba. The Cuban government has long blamed Washington's sanctions and decades-old trade embargo for crippling the country's economy and pushing people off the island, and says a law in place since 1966 that gives most Cubans who meet certain criteria a fast track to residency is a key reason for migration surges. The law essentially assumes, hear what I was just telling y'all? The law essentially assumes that all Cubans are political refugees who need protection, but has been widely criticized for giving them privileges that are not provided to any other nationality. But Cuba has also had a long history of using migration to rid the nation of those it considers malcontents. In other words, the criminals and so on. It's right here in this New York Times article. Goes on to say, when political unrest grew, Fidel Castro would publicly bid the agitators. He called them degenerates and worms, good riddance. So he was telling them to go. Go to America. We don't want you here. Some 3,000 people left from the port of, Camaroca in 1965, and 125,000 departed from Mariel in 1980. In 1994, street protests led to an exodus of about 35,000 people who washed up on Florida shores on inner tubes and rickety vessels. Oh, look at the little babies. My God. Cuba's free fall has been accelerated by the pandemic. So over the last 3 years, Cuba's financial reserves have dwindled, just like everybody all over the world, to be honest. They're obviously a little bit worse off than us. And it has struggled to stock store shelves. Imports, which are largely food and fuel, have dropped by half. And the situation is so dire that the government electric company boasted this month that electric service had run uninterrupted that day for 13 hours and 13 minutes. Thank you, CUC. Because that was a big deal that it ran straight for 13 hours and 13 minutes. Last year, fed up with the economic decline and a lack of freedom compounded by the COVID-19 lockdown, tens of thousands of Cubans took to the streets in the biggest anti-government protests in decades. A crackdown followed, with nearly 700 people still imprisoned, according to a Cuban human rights group. Cubans of fewer means tried to leave by building makeshift boats, and at least 100 have died at sea since 2020, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. The Coast Guard has intercepted nearly 3,000 Cubans at sea in the past 2 months alone. Wow. Lord Jehovah. But these days, most Cuban migrants fly off the island, Cayman Airways, with relatives abroad, often paying the airfare, followed by a tough overland journey. Like I said, that's why they go to Nicaragua. Cuba lifted an exit visa requirement to leave by air a decade ago, though it is still illegal to leave by sea. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So Cuba lifted an exit visa requirement, so they don't need a visa to leave. Oh, okay. Not by air. The floodgates opened last year when Nicaragua, again, part of the problem, stopped requiring an entrance visa for Cubans. Tens of thousands of people sold their homes and belongings and flew to Managua. That's the capital of Nicaragua, in case you don't know, paying smugglers to help them make the 1,700-mile journey by land to the U.S. border. Katrin Hansing, who's an anthropologist at the City University of New York, who is on sabbatical on the island, noted that the soaring migration figures do not account for the thousands who have left for other countries, including Serbia and Russia. They'd rather go to Russia than Cuba? Now you know something wrong. This is the biggest quantitative and qualitative brain drain this country has ever had since the revolution, she said. It's the best and the brightest, and some with the most energy. The departure of many younger working-age Cubans augurs a bleak demographic future for a country where the average life expectancy of 78 is higher than the rest of the region. Experts said the government also can barely afford the meager pensions the country's older population relies on. The hemorrhaging of Cubans from their homeland is nothing short of devastating, according to Elaine Acosta Gonzalez. She's a research associate at Florida International University. She says that Cuba is depopulating, and just a few years ago, the country's future seemed far different. With the Obama administration loosening restrictions on travel to Cuba, American tourists pumped dollars into the island's fledgling private sector. Now, travel is again severely limited, and years of economic downturn have, for many Cubans, extinguished the last embers of optimism. My goodness. Here we have Joanne Cruz Mendez, who's a taxi driver, and she's tried to leave 3 times, looked out to the sea at Boracay, I think, and explained why so many boats that once lined the town's shores are gone, along with their owners. Wow. The last thing you can lose is hope. And I think a large part of the population has lost hope, says Mr. Cruz. Oh, this is a Mr. Recounting how he had once made it out 30 miles to sea, only to be forced to turn back because too many people on board got sick and vomited. In March, Mr. Cruz, who's 41, bought a plane ticket for his wife to fly to Panama and tapped his savings to pay a smuggler $6,000 to get her to the United States, where she claimed political asylum. Because remember, now in the United States, there is that presumption in favor of political asylums. She is now working at an auto parts store in Houston. At least she can send money back now, I guess. In the woods just beyond the town, people were busy building more boats, stripping motors from cars, electric generators, and lawnmowers. When the sea is calm, they wait for the local Cuban Coast Guard contingent to clock off their shift. So they know when they're clocking off. Yes, sir. Before carrying the makeshift vessels on their shoulders through town and over craggy rocks before lowering them gently into the water. In May, Yoel Duvergel, I think that's it, 32, and his wife, Yanari, who was 5 months pregnant with their only child, and 4 others set out in the wee hours, but their motor broke and they started rowing, but were intercepted by the U.S. Coast Guard just a few miles from the United States and taken back to Cuba, where Mr. Duvergel tries to get by doing odd jobs. Asked why he had tried to leave, he laughed. What do you mean? Why did I want to leave? He said, don't you live in the Cuban reality? He intends to try again. Once you start, you can't stop, he said. Sitting beside him, Michael Manuel Infanta Silva, 19, had sold his family's refrigerator to build a boat that sank. He too will try again. By law, he's supposed to be serving in the military, but he fled and tries to make a living catching fish with a harpoon. In Cuba, he said, everything keeps getting worse. Wow. So definitely one of the driving forces here is Nicaragua's movement by opening up their country to allow people, to Cubans in particular, to enter Nicaragua visa-free. I can't believe that there's been no international pressures on Nicaragua to reverse that policy, because it is, in fact, what is driving the record numbers of Cubans. Because going by vote is a very, very perilous situation. But if you can safely get to by plane, right, whether it's from Cayman, Jamaica, or anywhere else, to Nicaragua, you're in scot-free to Nicaragua, then it's just a matter of making the journey from Nicaragua to the Mexican-U.S. border. And so most of the Cuban migrants, in fact, are getting in on foot, not boat at all. So remember, folks, it cuts out that dangerous trek that we were talking about It's still dangerous, mind you, but it's not as bad. It's a sad situation, you know, and I really do feel sorry for the people of Cuba. This is not something that we have any control over. And I think we just have to try to have policies in place to safeguard our own borders and the situation here. You know, I'm very sympathetic towards their plight, but that doesn't mean that I think we should sacrifice our own country to save somebody else. Now, one note I wanted to make, because somebody was saying Alva's comment about how Caymanians have migrated to Cuba and other places, including even the United States of America. You know, Caymanians have not always been fortunate enough where we were the island that people wanted to come to. We were having to migrate and go other places for work. That's well known. But here's the difference. We actually did it the legal way. Yes? And there is a difference there, folks. Our people were not entering the United States of America illegally. Listen to all of the interviews we have been doing and will continue to do for Cayman Voices series. Our seamen heard about these big ships, right? Who were offering opportunities, and there was a process to apply. And being, legally compliant, our seamen would apply for the positions. That's how we were getting those jobs. We were not getting on a boat and crossing over into the U.S. illegally. That's not how we did it. So I think there's a distinction there that is necessary to highlight. So yes, we have had tough economic times. We know that life. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that despite having tough economic times, we also understood the necessity to be law-abiding. And that's why some of these big bulk carriers and whoever they would then put in for Caymanian seamen after just a couple years working with them diligently and working hard. Some of our men lost their lives at sea. We were then able to, those seamen were able to, if they wanted to, migrate to the United States and even get citizenship back then. Take that. Caller, good morning.
Well, good morning. After I had hooked up with you, you said exactly what I wanted to call and remind the public, the Caymanian public, and to inform the people who have come here that I don't know about the first arrest of a Caymanian, and I'm a child of the 50s and not late 50s either. Hearing one story about anybody from Cayman being put in jail because they had committed a criminal offense whilst in America from the Southwell years. Let's use Consuelo's title, the Southwell years. I don't know about not even one. Dr. McField will give you a couple of jokes about a couple of people, but it's not in criminality. It's in the situation where they were not sophisticated enough, having not gone to city before, so on and so forth. And you laugh at it because you know some of them in blah blah, but it wasn't because of criminality, and it wasn't because of ungratefulness. I knew seamen. I knew as many seamen as I could know, being a young child, and they all came home grateful. The families were delirious when it was time for Papa to come home. They were delirious. He was coming home, and he can die anytime at sea, but when he was coming home, they were delirious when he got here. The whole commute, the little village, 2, 3, 4 streets over, family from another district, they would come down to see them, or they would go up to see. It was a time of rejoicing. It was a time of joy. It wasn't anybody coming home in shame and disgrace and with grudges and being uncivil to people who had hosted them for 9 months, a year and a half, 2 years sometimes. It wasn't that kind of relationship. We didn't have that kind of behavior in our midst, in our culture, and we didn't take that kind of behavior. So we couldn't take that kind of behavior overseas. We went, we were law-abiding, we worked hard, we were honest, and we were grateful for what we got from there, what we could send home, And the whole family and the whole community was grateful for what they brought when they came home, because they hardly came and forgot anybody within a certain radius of their spot in the neighborhood, in the community. They hardly forgot anybody, whether it was grandmother, grandfather, or sometimes the entire family could go and get some little thing in their hands. So it's a totally different situation and circumstance that we complain about.
And we should complain.
We should never stop.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when people throw this out there as though that is supposed to be some sort of a compelling point of discussion that, oh yeah, Caymanians had to migrate. Yes, they did. But let's keep it in the correct context, right? We migrated lawfully. And that's a big difference. We followed the rules set by those countries of entry and exiting and so on.
And living, but once you get there,
yes,
our
Caymanians weren't trying to introduce Cayman culture to the United States of America and carrying our dirty ways there either. Our men were in their best behavior, even if they weren't always on their best behavior at home. When they traveled abroad, they knew better.
Exactly. And they were grateful for the opportunities. So you know what? I know that they operated in that lane where, you know, if I mess up, I'm not gonna have this opportunity again. They didn't go there with their eyes peeled back and a chest poked out and an attitude like, you gotta take me whatever I do. And you know, I used to have compassion for refugees from 4 or 5, but I got over that in a hurry, because I lived in what I call refugeeville, where they were housed and so on and so forth, and they were treated so good. I know they didn't have it.
Jonathan is asking if I've ever been to Cuba. Jonathan, I've been to Cuba at least probably 6 or more times. So yes, I've definitely been to Cuba, and I've seen all parts of Cuba. I've done the touristy stuff, and I've also gotten off of the beaten track. In fact, I think I mentioned this before. My very first trip to Cuba, Denny and I went together as friends, and you know, we shared a hotel room. Shall we even share the same bed? But let's make it clear now, there was no hanky panky going on. Put the pillows between you, kind of thing. But but you know, Denny might remember this. I actually had arranged for us to meet up with this guy who worked for the Cuban government as a translator. And so we went out, he was taking us around Cuba, and we went out with him and another colleague who, I think he was a professor or something. And they took us out, and we were asking a lot of, you know, very interested in culture. We were asking a lot of questions about how Cubans see their own country and how things work. And we were all over, you know, the Malecon. We were at the ice cream place there in Havana. We took tours out to the country. And since then, I've gone back numerous times without the assistance of this guide, because apparently he wanted to marry me off my first trip in Cuba. He was asking me why I don't have a husband, and if I wanted to get married, and if I wanted to have kids, and buying me roses, with Denny sitting right there. My friend is a witness. And I was just like, honey, child, I mean, not that desperate. I'm like, dude, I just met you. Why are you asking me all these personal questions? I'm not interested in marrying no Spanish man, no Cuban right now. Like, what? No, thank you. So he was very, very persistent. And in fact, I'll tell you a funny story, Charlene, is about 2 or 3 trips after that, I went to Cuba, and I said, oh, you know, I haven't seen this guy since my first trip. And I messaged him and said, hey, you know, I'm in Cuba for a couple of days, whatever. And I gave him the number for the house where I was staying, the lady that I often stay with when I go to Cuba, there in Havana. And he called on the phone, and he was so aggressive. Oh, what are you doing in Cuba? And you never call me. You should call me. I'd be your guide. And I was like, dude, I don't need you to be my guide. I've been here several times since then, and I'm managing just fine. I don't need you, you know, blah, blah, blah. And child, I couldn't get him off the phone. So much so that my little house lady, I can't think of her name right now, but so much so that she ended up taking the phone from me and saying to him in Spanish, she has to go, get off the phone, goodbye. Because he was so aggressive. Yes, honey child, he was so aggressive. I was like, what the heck? Like, you come to Cuba and you not call me? And blah. I'm like, the last time I checked, you weren't border control. I was just, kind of checking in. But he was, please. I don't like aggressive men like that. No, honey child. And he was very possessive. And I'm like, dude, I've had the equivalent of one conversation with you. Why are you aggressive? Like, there's something wrong here.
And you're okay, man. You're coming to be.
Hello.
America,
You understand?
Georgia.
He don't know, honey child. I was like, listen, sir, let me be very clear. I do not like possessive men. And right now you're giving me possessive men vibes for no reason. We don't have that kind of relationship. We're not even friends. I'm just saying hello. So you need to back up. And boy, Miss, oh gosh, I can't remember her name now. But anyway, Marta, that's her name, Miss Marta. Miss Marta took that phone and told him in Spanish, listen, blah, 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 get off the phone. I was like, thank you, Marta. Oh my gosh. But I tell you what, I've had some of the best food in Cuba. I actually have enjoyed my trips going to Cuba. And I'm sad to see that the tourism has been badly affected by, the situation with the pandemic, as it has impacted all of us. But I know that it has definitely impacted Cuba in a really, really bad way, because there's so many beautiful things in Cuba. The landscape, I've gone into the mountains, we've gone into caves and horseback riding. And I must tell you that the food in Cuba is just, I had phenomenal food. And I don't drink coffee, but I know that the Cuban coffee is very, very good. And Marta, I'm going to just show you guys some pictures here on social. This is where I've stayed in Marta's place. And it's so interesting to see. This is a guest house in Havana. And I mean, all of their floors are like marble floors. This is a little area that we would sit and have breakfast. She would go to the market every single morning, get us fresh eggs and bread, freshly made, and then prepare our breakfast. Is like one of the guest rooms, prepare our breakfast for them. I mean, all the furniture is dated and whatever, but it was safe and it was comfortable. I forget what floor. She's up higher. She's in a higher building. The elevator worked, and she is an older lady. So she, of course, always looked out for us and stuff like that. And to be honest, Strong Will said that, that you can't go to Cuba now. Let me tell you something. If the pandemic hadn't hit, my next trip abroad, other than to the United States of America, was actually going to be Cuba, because my husband has not been to Cuba. And I was like, oh, honey child, you need to meet our Cuban cousins and you need to, just see Cuba. I mean, I think everybody should see it. It's such some parts of it, it's a place stuck in a particular time, right? It has the old European feel. Now, listen, when they tell you that a hotel is 5-star, I don't know how their star system works, but don't expect it to be the Ritz or the Kimpton. It's not that 5-star. It's European 1960s wannabe 5-star. So on our scale, it's probably like a 2-star. You got a bed. And let's keep in mind, by the way, someone mentioned this yesterday, and I think it's worth highlighting as well. In Cuba, the begging and that type of behavior is a criminal offense that will get you arrested. And the Cuban government takes particular offense to people haggling tourists. Here we are talking about we don't care, let them beg because they're in need and blah, blah, blah. In their own country, they cannot do it in certain areas. If you are a Cuban national, unless you're working in the hotel, you are not even permitted to go and sit in the hotel to have a drink. I bet y'all didn't know that, because they want their tourists to have a particular experience that is free of the begging and the haggling and all that kind of stuff. And they're very, very strict with it. The police are walking up and down like the Malecón, and they're looking for people who might be trying to harass the visitors. Yeah. And I tell you what, you're not taking no Cuban woman up in that hotel. You better find somewhere else to take her. That's right. But I mean, the breakfast and the egg and the fresh butter, and it's just even the beef tastes a little bit different. I mean, I love I love learning about other cultures. And one of the most interesting things to find out is that when it comes to meat, I made the observation that these are the biggest cows I have ever seen in my entire life. I was like, these cows are huge. And so when I did one of my tours, they were explaining to me that one of the reasons why the cows are so big is that they have them for production of milk and cheese and other stuff. So right on the streets, as you go out into the country, there'll be people like literally street side vendors who's standing up trying to sell you a block of cheese and, you know, milk and fresh milk and whatever, because that's the priority why they're using what they need the cows for, not really so much so in terms of, you know, beef. And beef is they eat a lot of pork. I think Spanish people in general eat a lot of pork. So they don't really eat, it's chicken and pork, and beef is more of maybe a Sunday dinner kind of thing, a special kind of thing, right? So yeah, I mean, I every time I've gone to Cuba, I've had a very interesting experience. And this is Miss Marta here. She's such a sweet lady. And, you know, I've just really, really enjoyed myself. I've been out in the country. I've been to some of the country resorts and everything as well. And so I'm very saddened for the Cuban people, but that sadness for them does not mean that I'm going to lower my standards in my country. This, to me, this is the bottom line. And this is where I want people to be very, very clear, right? Like I said, we have cousins in Cuba. They don't want to leave Cuba. They I don't know about now. They might be thinking about it. I don't know kind of what economic situation they're in, but they're happy to just stay and live a very simpler lifestyle because they said they don't want to be hustling in life. And I said, wow, you know, I don't know nothing but a hustle to pay bills because they don't get paid by themselves around here. But everybody's different. Everybody, Miss Charlene, everybody grows up different. You know, life in New York is a different kind of hustle than life in a little country town in Florida. You know, everyone is different. And I enjoy talking to people from all over the world. I think we expose ourselves. The more we expose ourselves, the more we can learn. And you know what else? The more we appreciate what we have right here. Because the truth of the matter is this country, for such a small little place, is an amazing country. And I have no problems with anyone coming here and benefiting from Cayman, but not at the expense of my people. You come and you add value, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't take away. You don't take away from what you find here. You add to it. And if you have that mentality where you want to come here and you want to change everything and you don't like Cayman for what it is, then why are you here? To me, that makes zero sense. I have lived as a guest in another man's country for 15 years. And so my position comes from that level of personal experience as well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not asking people to do something that I didn't do or I wasn't prepared to do. I've been there.
But to have basic respect.
Yes.
Basic, you can give us basic respect. And like I like to say, you know, I'll cuss the Cayman Islands government right now as a class or as an individual. Yeah. But not when it comes to rolling out the red or purple carpet for foreign people, and especially if they can prove that they are in any kind of distress, the Cayman Islands government will spend their last penny on that foreigner, and they wouldn't think about me nor you. But they will roll out the red carpet for foreigners, and then you're gonna come to this country and you pass me, you can cuss me because I'll cuss you back. But then you got to keep dirt in the face of my Cayman, not the one I was born under the whatchamacallit tree up there and living. Oh, no. I can't give her anything, but I can defend her. I can use my money, I can defend my country. Don't you worry. And I might, like I said, I might not have anything to give her, but I'll give her that. And so therefore, you're not going to come over on her like that and leave your dirt here and you come here. Oh, people from East End would say, one hand in front, one behind. You come here naked.
We got another caller joining the conversation. Thank you, my dear. All right. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Sandra. How are you?
Not bad, dear. How are you?
All right. I said I brought it up again this morning for us. And I say, like you said, they are people come here to bring their country with them. If their country was so good, they shouldn't have left it. They don't need to bring it to us. We don't need it here. We got our own. That we have our own that we're struggling with. We don't need nobody more struggles than what you came. Like you said, you went to next man's country. You went to do what you purpose, and you do what you got to do, and you get back to yours. Right now, like everybody know, my son, who's trying to specialize a doctor, the government is running around like a fool. But yet we got all of these foreigners that are here that are going through. We sign, not this government, and not, I don't know which government, sign a document that if you don't study at the University of the West Indies, you can't practice at the Royal Hospital. So what were you trying to tell me? So you're keeping me down by going to tell me where I can study. If I can better because of I educate myself better and want more better for myself, why should you now tell me where I should go? As long as I meet your requirements that you set for me, and your fees are within my range or my school fee your range, then as a Cayman, you should be accommodating me.
Yeah. And this is what one person just said. They said, all you have to do is be a good house guest. It's as simple as that. But apparently some people don't know what that entails. But caller, thank you so much for that comment.
Okay, Sandra.
All right, honey. Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah, I mean, that seems very simple. Johan says, I'm not xenophobic. I'm pro-Caymanian and make no apologies for that. However, if CIG aren't protecting all Caymanians or helping them the way CIG is helping foreign nationals or asylum seekers, I'm struggling to see how we can integrate any asylum seekers into Cayman that would prefer to go to the US, Honduras, Mexico, etc. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yes, sir.
So, morning, everyone. So I just went and walk online. So I just hear in that conversation with people. I think that the thing is about it is people here in Ireland, they're making it very uncomfortable there because some people don't know how to defend. I'm not saying they don't know how to defend themselves, but they can't defend themselves. And it's very uncomfortable knowing that we have people like this on the island making us feel more stressed out. Something about it. And if we do something about it, then they're not going to understand what's going on. You know, like if I take action right now, Mom, and I see someone getting harassed by these, I call them foreigners, these illegal immigrants, then I should respond to that. And if I respond to that in a violent way because I know I need to do it that way, then I'm going to get prosecuted for this. Here's a problem here. No, I want to know if anybody else can do the same situation and get away with it, because guess what? It's going to lead to something very, 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 very dangerous. And that's going to cause a conflict to other countries? Or is that going to just be look at, we warning these people. Yeah, so that's another thing to think about.
All right, my dear. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. So someone said that apparently family in Cuba are looking for rice and beans. They still cooking rice and beans, but they can't seem to find it over there.
Rice and beans, or beans and rice, is a category of dishes from many cultures around the world.
Siri, stop. Nobody wasn't talking to you, honey child. She's trying to get into the CMR conversation and give me a definition of what rice and beans is. I know what rice and beans is. Don't be telling me. Okay, let's change topics briefly. We are into overtime. We're going to go a little bit into overtime. So on Friday of last week, Renato Harris, aka DJ Renato, was convicted of rape, 2 counts of rape. Well, I'm not surprised, and I can only tell you that the judge came to the correct conclusion. She didn't really spend too much time mincing her words. She basically said, I don't believe you. You know, the victim was believable. Your version of events and your story was just not believable. And, the evidence seemed very, very strong in favor of what the victim had said. Now, I was noticing some of the comments. Listen, this guy's a POS. If you don't know what POS means, just go look it up. piece of you know what. Okay? No one should trust their girl children and probably boy children around him. He claims to have a daughter. I don't know if he has more than one daughter, but he even lied to the court about the age of the daughter and the fact that he has primary care of the child. Now, I do believe, and this is the legal system, the judges hear a certain version of events from the defense and they don't provide them with any evidence. Your primary care of the child, prove it. So based on this extraordinary circumstance, he was granted bail. He does have, because he's going to jail without a doubt, he does have an ankle monitor on. And she said, if you are found to be tampering with the ankle monitor in any way, shape, or form, your bail will be immediately revoked and you will go to jail immediately. Don't go within 100 feet of the airport. She should have included all ports, because if she know what I know, and not an airport that he can be leaving on, it's going to be a boat to Jamaica. Yeah? So, honey child, this is a hot mix-up of a situation. But even after this man was convicted, I saw some of y'all fools, and that's exactly what I'm going to call you, because that's what you are, talking about, well, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. Please do yourselves a favor and do not insult all victims around the world. You don't know what happened because you weren't there. That's correct. But a judge sat down for weeks and heard testimony after testimony, witness after witness, from the victim, from Renato, from her instructors, her teachers, from her doctor, the works, about what transpired around this time with this victim. I feel so bad for this young lady. And you know what? Renato is a real piece of you know what. And I'm going to tell y'all why here in a second. Because he sees nothing wrong with him being able to rape a woman who's unconscious and cannot give consent. And then after raping her once, turn around in the morning, hold her down forcibly as she's fighting and kicking and saying, no, don't do this to me, and rapes her a second time. Any of you who talk about, oh, I wasn't there, please take a seat in the back of the class and shut up. Seriously. All y'all are doing is victim blaming and defending these no good perpetrators. Because they sit down and read these comments, and that feeds into their ego. This is a man who had the audacity to get on the stand, right? And the prosecution asked him, oh, well, you fancy yourself a real, desirable individual, like all the girls want you. And he's like, well, yeah, they do. Nasty. Really? Have you looked in the mirror lately talking about all the girls and women want you? Apparently, he's had a good time with Spanish girls. And I'm going to tell y'all that he go around telling people that he does this kind of thing all the time with Spanish women, and it's not a problem. It's just that this victim wasn't Spanish and she was Canadian, and then all of a sudden it's an issue. Wow, dude. You've just been choosing the wrong people, I guess, to sexually assault, and the Spanish girls have said nothing. I had one Spanish girl reach out to me, oh, I don't believe this with Renato. And I said, please shut up. And in a nice way, I said, please shut the up. I don't care what you believe. You didn't sit through the court. You didn't see that this victim traveled all the way from Canada to come to the Cayman Islands to sit in person and be able to look her rapist in the eye because she wants to send him a message that she is victorious over him and what he has done to her. I don't care what you think. You didn't hear any of the evidence. You were not there. You did not hear how this man could even tell you how he even took off the woman's clothes and had sex with her. He just was making it up as he goes along. Downplaying her level of intoxication, claiming his father was home when it was only a teenage boy at home. You can imagine raping somebody while your teenage son is there in the house somewhere. I have zilch, no respect for Renato. And as the case started to unfold, as I was sitting there watching it, even before he took the stand, I said, oh, Jesus, this boy is guilty of sin. And you know what? He has a history, for those people who know him, of being a pathological liar. You know how many times DMS had fired this man and rehired him, trying to give him chance after chance? Because he come here and get all these anchor babies with full Caymanians? How many he got now? 3, 4? Yeah. That's the caliber of person. But just because y'all hanging out in the club and he might buy you a drink, you think he's a nice person? A nice person doesn't do this kind of stuff to a defenseless woman. And then have the audacity on the stand to talk about, oh, he took her to Burger King the next morning. Because apparently after you've raped somebody twice, it's okay and you can feel good about it. And oh, you're such a good guy if you take him to Burger King for breakfast. The man lied through his teeth. There were things that he could have said during his police interview that he did not say. And all of a sudden, when he get on the stand now, the narrative has changed and he's making up all kind of cockamamie BS. He's a liar, and now he's a convicted rapist. And the court has come to the right conclusion. These guys are disgusting. And there's a whole gang of them in the DJ world, right? They're DJing, they work in these bars so that they can have access to you. A lot of times they get drinks on the house when they're working, and they can hook you up with liquor so that they can incapacitate you and take advantage of you. Young ladies, y'all need to be careful because these predators are out here in the street just waiting to select their next victim. And it could be you. And that's what he did. He picked this girl because she was easy prey that night. And then on top of it, with his nasty penis and nasty self, gets the poor girl pregnant. I mean, what are the chances? She takes the morning after pill and she still gets pregnant, devastates her life. She was on the path to a professional career and had to drop out of school because of all of this. Then he comes up with this very convenient story of how, oh yeah, she wanted money out of him. She was trying to extort money out of him for an abortion. The prosecutor said, are you aware that abortions are free in Canada? Oh, no, I didn't know that. So why would she need to get money for an abortion? That don't make no sense. Are you aware that her parents paid for her ticket so she could return to Canada? So she wasn't looking even ticket money from you? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Are you aware that she confided in her good friend overseas what had happened to her? Oh, gee, did she? Are you aware she was so distraught that she could not even sit her examinations? And the teachers were asking what's going on. They had to put her on medication because she was suicidal. No, he's not aware. And quite frankly, he doesn't care. This dude has no shame, nothing called shame whatsoever. That's why this weekend he could be out on Friday night, seen playing dominoes like he just won the friggin' lottery. You see, we live in a society where we embrace a lot of foolishness. And this is the same kind of thing that I'm talking about. I don't know who the hell he's playing dominoes with, but I know one thing, it wouldn't have been my husband. Because I'm like, listen, you don't talk to him. You don't look in his direction. You wouldn't even sit at the same table with him. The men in this community need to send these SOBs a very clear message that your behavior is unacceptable. Yeah? You are a disgusting rapist. You should be ostracized, not included in a Friday night dominoes game. But we're not ready to treat people the way that they should be treated when they prey on people in this community. At the barber, getting a haircut. Somebody said, look at him, getting his braids done, living his best life. Meanwhile, this woman has had her entire life turned upside down. She's had to drop out of school, leave behind a promising professional career. Now she is a victim's advocate for other people like her, helping them to go through this process and helping them to go to court. And if you believe this is the first time that Renato has done this, you are fooler than I think. It's not. He's done it before and he's gotten away with it. As he said, apparently Spanish women don't mind being held down and sexually assaulted. And that's what he's been checking all this time. He's been doing this to enough of them, and they didn't complain. They didn't do nothing. Maybe he just paid him a couple dollars and it was A-okay. A victim finally stood up to this disgusting man. All these years, she has stood there while the process has advanced very, very slowly, I might add. Kudos to this victim. Because if you don't think that he wouldn't continue doing it, he not gonna stop. He gonna buck up on the wrong person like me, and I gonna chop it off for him. That's how that gonna work. Yeah. And instead of y'all asking, well, why was this a young woman out drinking? Why was she doing it? Why don't we start asking some questions of the men? Why are you raping people? Right? The person's body is not yours. We want to hold victims accountable, but we don't want to hold the perpetrators accountable. Always questioning why the victim was doing this, that, and the next thing. How about y'all start raising some men who have enough respect for women? That gosh, if a woman is too drunk, why would I even want to engage with her? Get her home safely to her own house. This woman was so disgusted by even the state of his house, how he kept his place down in swamp. His father's place. Filthy, urine all over the floor, no clean towels, dirty sheets. The woman said she felt like a cockroach that morning when he was holding her down and assaulting her for the second time. You can imagine. Oh my God. Just think about for somebody to even say that they feel like a cockroach. Cockroaches are the most vile, disgusting, germ-infested things on this planet. They crawl through garbage. Yeah. They eat anything. They're ugly even to look at. And that's how she felt when he held her down on his bed and sexually assaulted her for the second time. And then the man had the audacity to say to her, y'all listen carefully, because this shows you the kind of mindset that we're dealing with here, right? Had the audacity to say to her, oh, are you happy now? Because he decided to ejaculate in his hand this time. Wow. My God. I wish that she could have found the energy that day to just punch him in his eye. What an insult. Oh, are you happy now? You can imagine holding somebody down that's telling you, no, don't do this to me. Stop it. And you rape them anyway. And then talking about, are you happy now? Oh, you don't have to worry about getting pregnant. I mean, the circumstances around this it's just so wild. This poor woman, even after trying to take the morning after pill because she's just been sexually assaulted, not once, but twice. This dude has some kind of super sperm. And you need to see the messages she sent him. She said, you will never do this to another woman again. She said, you are a horrible, disgusting person. And he's claiming, well, there were some messages that she deleted and some messages missing. Really? Then they would be on your phone. Show us the messages. I hope to God he gets the maximum penalty and they lock him up and throw away the key. And then afterwards, he is deported back to Jamaica. I don't care how many anchor babies he got. Please deport him. Caller, you know they got me pissed off here this morning.
I'm just reminding you, you have to work doubly hard at your register. That's your New Year's resolution. Well, doubly hard. You have to work at getting that register going. Because you need to know, we all need to know.
Yeah.
And about the men, holding the men accountable, it's the only way it's going to really, really work.
Yeah.
If men step up, because I don't know any child that's born that doesn't have a mother, nor do I know any child that's born that doesn't have a father. Right. We become mothers and fathers. They might hold themselves responsible in a financial way or a supportive, loving way as a family, but you're born with the physicality of a mother and a father. So it's not going to work unless the father figure is on board. And all the people, all the men who got some compassion and some understanding, you're going to have to take one for the team and step up you step up to the plate maybe 10 times for the ones that are looking and never will make the step, but it's never ever going to work without the men on board and in a significant way. You can't be round the corner either. But here's another reason why you would need that register of yours. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. The most interesting thing is Mary says, what I can't understand is he's charged for rape. Why they let him be around a girl, child, daughter, or not? Well, not only was he charged, he was actually convicted. So it is a question. Now the court is not going to determine what access he has to in terms of his children if they're not directly involved as victims. But the mother of that child, who's only 12 years old, honey child, you should be very concerned about this. I wouldn't even call him a dog because that's an insult to dogs. This person being around your children or your child. Like I said, I know he has at least one son and one daughter. I don't know how many else, what other fools out there managed to get pregnant for him. But it's so interesting during court because I was the only person there watching this trial outside of the lawyers and the court staff. And when he took the stand, the media boxes in courtroom 1 is relatively close to where the stand is, like where people take the stand, I think so we can hear them, that sort of thing. And I was sitting there listening to him and his lies. And I noticed that every time he would answer a question that was a blatant lie, he would turn and look at me. Like the lawyers are over there and they're asking him the questions. He would then turn and look at me to see, I guess, if I was buying it or if it was believable. And honey child, that my face not for me. That not join church, just like my mouth not join church. And I was there looking as salty as I possibly could, shaking my head like, you are such a friggin' liar. So I don't know what he was looking at me for, as though he wanted some sort of approval for his bold-faced lies in court, but he most certainly wasn't getting it from me in the expression of my face. I was like, shaking my head, you are a piece of shit. Not what I was thinking. And I think he pretty much knew it as well. It's sad because I've known Renato from when I used to be over 104. We've never sat down and ate a meal. We've never broke bread. But, I thought he was an okay guy, cool guy, whatever. Like I said, I don't know people like that, so I'm not into their business. I knew he had gone to jail for some mix-up situation with his son, apparently beating the son or some foolishness. But I understand that he has had a long history of really just being a horrible person. Now people are talking. Even Saturday I was somewhere and I ran into people and they say, boy, Sandy, DMS must have fired and hired him about 3 different times. They were giving him a chance. Even when this station launched Bobo, he was telling me about how he's going to be in Bobo and this and that. And blah, blah. And I said, oh, you are? But didn't you get fired from DMS? No, man, we're going to work it out. I got to talk to Don. I got to smooth it over. And poor old Don Seymour, trying to be kind-hearted, had given him so many opportunities already. I guess he thought he was going to get another one. He was going to get his own show on this radio station. I said, wow, some people get a lot of second chances. Not getting another one from the court, though, I can tell you that. You go in jail, son. You better get your affairs in order between now and the end of January. This so-called daughter you claim you're taking care of, make sure she understands that daddy going to jail and he's going to jail for raping a woman. This dude don't have a care in the world. Unbelievable. There was one point in the testimony that he said something. I'm trying to remember what it was. On his evidence in chief, right? So this is where his lawyer is putting forth his side of events, right? And then the prosecution got up and said, but you said in your testimony, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I didn't say that. Hear me now. I said, yes, you did. I'm not really supposed to be speaking in court, but on that occasion, I'm like, yes, you did. He's lying so much he can't even keep the story straight. He can't even remember what he said. I can't remember exactly what the point was now. But I was like, oh, yes, you did say that. But you see, this is what happened when you lie. You can't remember when you said what and what was said, and then, you can't keep it straight. They need to throw him under the jail. Moya says the men in the community don't care. They only care when something happens to their girl children, if they even care then. And isn't that a sad indictment? Yeah. Very, very sad. Marshall says those that were playing dominoes with him and was okay with his behavior are just like him, birds of a feather. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they're obviously able to at least turn a blind eye to the fact that this man was just convicted of rape. But you see, we're so inclined to want to blame victims. Aliana says, I had a high opinion of this man from my time as a bar back at Next Level, but wow, I can't believe this. But hey, when one eye is open, when one's eyes is open, yeah. I mean, the things that you don't know, right, would really, really surprise you. This is a guy, I remember when Renato had a heart attack some years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was, to be honest. But a number of years ago, he almost died. He had a heart attack. I'm like, dude, if being on the verge of death, having a heart attack and coming back from that, don't make you adjust your behavior. You know something definitely wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? You're going out there destroying people's lives. Anyway, after I wrote the first story on him, he blocked me on WhatsApp. Good for him, because I already had removed him, child. Little does he know. Unbelievable. These men are just, oh my God. I don't even want to call them men because they're not real men. You know? But it's a sad indictment, really, on us as a community. So Real Deal says deport. He's not going anywhere. Our human rights will defend his right to stay. I agree. He should be sent back, but it ain't happening. This is Cayman. It's for the world, not us. Well, I seriously hope that he is deported, because we don't need the likes of him walking around this place. There was another DJ I saw on Saturday. His case the allegations against him never went anywhere. Again, young lady, young girl, 17 years old, intoxicated, right? Thinking that this guy was looking out for her and he was a big brother to her, because that's what he had told the mother. Oh, I'll look out for her like a big brother. Well, big brothers don't rape their little sisters, honey child. I don't know where the hell you from. She lost a chunk of her time in the night and then found that she was having peen in her privates. And all kind of stuff. And he wouldn't admit it. They went to the police and he's like, oh, well, we don't have enough. We can't do nothing about it. I do want to caution women and men to be careful when you go out there drinking. These men are slipping you roofies and all kind of stuff in your liquor. You need to be careful. If you're going to go out in these nightclubs and these bars and stuff, have a buddy system, have a system of support where, somebody's looking out for you. Because the bartenders, sometimes they're part of the problem. When they're not part of the problem, they're too busy to see that you're being set up and you're being taken advantage of. It's just a really, really sad situation. Marshall says people in society know who some of these predators are, and the government know as well. I don't know what's the holdup in passing the law. I get some balls, government. We're talking about the sex offenders registry, and I will continue to speak on it until it's done. Alejandro says, must be too much vodka and Red Bulls. Listen, I want to make my position very, very clear. There are women out there that you can pay for sex, because like I said, there's a lot of women, they come from that culture. There are women out there who will give it to you for free. There's zero reason why you should have any sort of forced contact or non-consenting contact with a woman. You can probably, as he claims, because he claims women falling all over for him. I don't know who these women are, but you can pretty much pick, choose, and refuse if it's just sex that you're looking for. And so many of these nasty guys also have STDs that they're also passing that along as well. AIDS, by the way, it was just World AIDS Day on, I think that was the 1st of December. We haven't gotten to talk about it yet, but AIDS is still very much a thing. We need to have a discussion on that topic. Y'all seem to have forgotten that AIDS exists, and there are people who are still dying, contracting HIV, eventually getting AIDS, and dying from it. And there's a lot of men and women out there who know that they're positive, and they're not telling people, and they are purposely infecting people. There are other STIs and STDs that can impact your fertility, can impact your life in a real way. They're so disgusting. If they're going to rape you, they don't even think, well, let me use protection. They're the lowest of the lowest of the lowest. Seriously. Oh my God. Marshall says that he has a daughter. How would he feel if someone rapes her? I'm sure he wouldn't like it and would be very upset. So why does he think it's okay for him to do it? Well, I don't even know if he would care, because some of these guys, they don't even care about their own children. They don't even have that type of a relationship with their children. You understand what I'm saying? They're not raising them. They're just pop up whenever they feel like it. They don't care. I'm just disappointed. And I'm even more disappointed when y'all get in the comment section on social media and you share some of your comments. I'm just like, what is wrong with you all? I mean, I really do have to question you, because it don't make no sense. If you know how devastating these sexual assaults are on the lives of people, you would think twice before you say some of the things that you say in relation to victims. Oh, I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. Well, guess what? You don't have to be there. The victim was there, so she knows exactly what happened. The judge wasn't there either, but she's made a determination based on what was put before her. I wasn't there either, but I sat through a multi-week trial and came to the conclusion on my own that he was guilty as charged. You don't have to be there for an offense to have taken place. You don't have to be there for somebody's life to have been destroyed. Cayman society, please do me a favor. Start speaking up on behalf of victims, not the opposite. Let us support victims through programs in place, through lending our voice to these important issues, through ostracization of the perpetrators, letting them know, you know what? I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to be your drinking buddy. I'm not going to be your Domino's buddy, because you have now been convicted by a court of law of 2 counts of rape. Don't let them feel so comfortable. In our societies where their lives don't get destroyed. Nothing has changed for Renato. He can still go out drinking. He can still go play dominoes. He can still go get his hair braided. He can do all this stuff with what he thinks is complete impunity. Nothing not gonna happen. But don't worry, Bobo. You better get ready for February the 9th. When you show back up in court. Is it February the 9th? I'm getting his date and the date with Miss Cayman a bit confused, I think. I can't remember which date his is, but I think, is he the end of January? Anyway, your day coming. And you will be going to jail. Yeah. I hope your attorney has prepared you for it. No exceptional circumstances can keep you out of jail. This is a custodial type of an offense. And when you go to jail, you know what my hope is for you? We got one cousin up in prison who's equally, maybe even a little bit more sick than you. What his name is again? The rapist one day. Barnes, whatever the hell his name is. They need to put you in a cell with him, honey child. Because you're going to wake up one night and you're going to be in the wrong position. Jeffrey. And Jeffrey going to do what he got to do. So you going to know what it feels like to feel like a cockroach. Mm-hmm. That's who they need to put you, all y'all rapists in with. Put them in with him. He fixed on her. And I make no apologies for that. All right, folks. I'm so disgusted. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We have the NRA is going to be joining us for a bit. By then, we're going to have all our gift cards. I just had Cayman Bay message and said, your gift cards are ready. So let me tell y'all, we got gift certificates, movie tickets, and gift cards from Cayman Bay. We got Foster's. Listen, $50 can buy you $50 worth of groceries. We have Cost You Less has made a donation of an LG soundbar. Nice. CMR has donated tons of prizes. We got the Kenneth Cole leather bag. We got so much chocolate, and I mean the good stuff. The Ferrero Rocher, like all the Listen, I have been looking for years now for the Andes mint chocolates on this island, and I don't know what happened with Andes during COVID, but you could not find them anywhere in Cayman. Go buy Cost You Less, because all of a sudden they got a shipment of the peppermint ones, the regular mint ones, all kind of different variety of Andes. And Andes is like, you want a little bit of chocolate, but you don't want to cheat too much. You just have a little bite. They're thin. A little bite of that Andes chocolate. Oh, it's so delicious. They finally have them in stock, honey child. I don't know where they get all this amazing. Oh my gosh, we have so many fabulous prizes. Books, calendars, organizers, the works. The box is huge. Over 60 prizes for Christmas. So this is the place you want to be over the next week and a half. How much time we got until Christmas? Oh my gosh. We got 2 weeks? 2 weeks and a bit? Now listen. Big shout out to Hurley's and Randy Marin. Y'all call Randy. Say Sandy gave you a shout out because I was on a hunt for a last minute Christmas tree. And Randy said, okay, go see Aaron. And he's like, you want some giveaways? Some Christmas? I was like, yes, please. I can have some Christmas trees to give to our faithful listeners and viewers. Child, so many of y'all were like, I need a tree, but it was already too late. They didn't last long. They gave us 9. Originally, it was 5, and then y'all kept coming, so I begged for a couple more. They gave us like 9 live Christmas trees. Mine's still on my living room floor, but the scent of the Christmas pine already is making the house feel like Christmas. So I'm hoping tonight we can get ours up and decorated. Thank you so much, Randy. I really appreciate that. That's just, so wonderful. Some people are like, oh, my mommy doesn't have a tree. She can't afford one. It's going to be so nice now that she can get a little tree. Oh, my gosh. So make sure now, if you're one of those 9, you go pick up your Christmas tree. I think already 5 went yesterday, so y'all were on it. So, yes, Jonathan's like, wow, yeah, did you miss that post, Jonathan? Yes, honey child, we had fresh Christmas trees. Oh, I love when people give back. Big shout out to the DART organization. So from them, we're going to be getting, let me tell you now, 3 pairs of VIP cinema tickets. Y'all been to the VIP section? It's nice. It's like being at home. You can recline back, nice leather seats. Get your nice drink holders, put up your feet and relax. And also we're going to do 2 $50 Cayman Bay gift cards. And you can use those at any store in Cayman Bay. So those gift cards can go far. Oh my gosh. We have Penha that's going to be giving us $100, $200 gift certificates. You know, they got perfume and all kind of stuff in there too. So, yes, it's a good time. So we'll start tomorrow. I'm going to finish wrapping. I do need to go and try and find some bows. So Miss Stacy and I have been the ones doing all the wrapping. So if the wrapping looks a little bit like it's not a professional wrapping job, do not complain. Because first of all, I hate wrapping. So you're lucky I'm wrapping anything at all. But Stacy has been very, very helpful with the wrapping of the presents. We've been wrapping and putting stuff on bows and putting all the numbers. Mr. Good Look says, did I get an invite to the bonfire on the beach? No, but somebody sent me a message. I'm trying to find the message saying that they actually had permission. So, I mean, if they had permission, then they weren't doing anything wrong. It might not be the best thing in the world for the environment, but I don't know. We can talk about that tomorrow. All right, so join in tomorrow. NRA. We'll start off with the gift giving. Miss Brenda says gift bags can't go wrong. Yes, we have a lot of gift bags, and we've been stuffing stuff in there too. That is the lazy person's method of gift wrapping. Stick it in the little wrapping paper and stick it in the gift bag. But then I have my own gifts for my friends that I'm trying to get sorted out as well. I don't have a long list of people that I shop for Christmas, but I'm a very good gift giver. I must tell you. If I give you a gift, you're going to love it because I really think about the person and what they need. I'm practical. A lot of times I'm a practical gift giver, but I give some phenomenal gifts. That's why I got to keep my list short. Yeah. And on top of that, you know what? My husband's not very good at giving gifts, so he always leaves certain people up to me. He's like, oh yeah, you here's my list. You deal with it. He's not really a shopper. He's not into the whole shopping. He's like, yeah, whatever. So I'm glad to do it because I could be a professional shopper. I'm really on the ball. Even for me, he's like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? Here, go buy. Here's the money. Go buy it yourself. He's like, nope, you buy what you want for your birthday. And I'm like, okay. And then when I buy 10 things, he has the audacity to complain. Like, I told you could buy a birthday gift. And I was like, listen, there's like 12 days of Christmas. There's 30 days for my birthday. So I'm going to buy a few things. Oh, yes, that's right, Miss Brenda. She says, not lazy, just can't wrap population. That's a lot of us. Keisha, good morning. She says, Sunday coming is cake day. So I'm looking out for something, even a pie. Cake day is on Sunday? They have a day for everything. Cake day. Well, I'm going to be in the kitchen tomorrow doing some cooking for a little event that I'm going to, staff event on Thursday. So I'm actually going to be making some cakes tomorrow for the Thursday event. And mac and cheese, bread rolls. What else did I promise them? Oh, God, I got to write that down because that means I need to go shopping now. Oh, I need to get all my ingredients for that delicious mac and cheese. Cake day. All right. Let me think about that, Keisha. Maybe we'll have some cake on Monday. I have a very hard time trying to win at my MP's party on Saturday. There's no way I'm going to win off CMR. Well, honey child, I don't know how many prizes in total, Miss Morna, that Sabrina had. She had a lot of prizes, but I think we might actually have more prizes than her. So you just got to listen in, lots of trivia questions, and I may just do some random prizes while I'm at it too. So just tune in. You never know. Because look at that. You're like the last person to win anything, right? So, oh, it's cake day because it's your birthday. Oh, your cake day. I get it. I thought it was like cake day because they have a day for everything. There's like National Donut Day, National Kiss Your Dog Day, National, Take the Insects to Work Day. Oh, it's your birthday. Aha. I got you now, Keisha. Got it. I was thinking National Cake Day, but like I said, they got a day for everything. So you never know. Morna says, you know how much I like to cry. All All right, here's your news headlines for the day. Big shout out to Kevin Watler and all the CMR crew. You guys have a fabulous day. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. Here's a summary of some of Cayman's latest headlines. In Parliament last week, a private member's motion to implement recommendations in the 2020 report from the Committee on Vehicle Imports and Transportation was rejected, with 8 votes against from the government and 6 votes from the opposition. Also in Parliament last week, a motion to create a task force on North Sound water sports operators and a moratorium on the granting of new wildlife interaction zone licenses was accepted unanimously. The Ministry and Department of Tourism invites Caymanians wishing to study abroad for a bachelor's or master's degree in a tourism or tourism-related discipline to apply for their 2023 Ministry of Tourism Scholarship Program. The application deadline is January 31st, 2023. Scholarship criteria and applications are available on scholarships.ourcayman.ky. The Cayman Islands Postal Service has announced it is moving to holiday operating hours for post offices across the Cayman Islands. Camana Bay Aquatic Club rounded out its 12th year with a win at the 2022 Coconut Cup held at Camana Bay Pool. Following 3 days of competition at the annual swim meet, CBAC announced that 17 CRIFTA Aquatics Championships qualifying times were achieved at the meet. Now for your CMR weather update, it's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:49, mostly cloudy skies are expected, when the temperature is at 83 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity at 66% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the high 80s. Winds east at 10 to 15 miles per hour, and the sun sets at 5:49. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the mid-70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit caymanmallroad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on A Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit caymanmallroad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.